Gentlemen, council members, please be upstanding for the mayoral party.
Good afternoon, colleagues. Please be seated. I'm afraid you're going to have to excuse me today. I'm full of cold and got a cough. So if comes a point in meeting that I can't carry on anymore, I'm going to hand over to my deputy because I can't have me coughing all over. Thank you. Can I remind members to put their mobile phones on silent? Can members of the public present please also ensure that their phones are on silent, and if they are filming or recording the meeting, they do so in a way that does not disrupt our council business. Thank you. The first item on the agenda is members' declaration of interest. Will members declaring an interest please identify themselves and their interest clearly and complete the usual yellow form before the end of the meeting. Firstly, are there any disclosable pecuniary interests to be declared? Councillor Roberts? Thank you. Councillor Aslam? Thank you. Are there any other interests to be declared? If not, thank you. There are no exempt items before us today, so we will move straight on to the agenda item 3, which is to receive and confirm the minutes of the full council meeting in November. Are these minutes moved?
Move the minutes, Madam Mayor.
Are these minutes seconded?
Second, Madam Mayor.
All in favour? That is carried. Agenda item 4 on the council summons is to receive apologies for absence. In advance of the meeting, apologies have been received from councillors Forster, Garbett, Graham, Epworth, Jeffrey and Wallace. Councillor Scott may be here or not. She's not here yet, thank you. Councillor Carrington and Cummins have also informed me that they will need to leave the meeting at 5 p.m. Are there any further apologies to be noted? Councillor Ali?
Depending on what time the meeting finishes, Madam Mayor, I will have to leave at 6 o'clock.
Thank you. Any more? Councillor Eyre?
Yeah, I've got caring responsibilities and I'll probably need to leave if it goes on for longer than that. Thank you.
Councillor Ayoub?
I've also got to leave at 5:30.
Thank you. Any more? If not, thank you. Agenda item 5 is to deal with such communications as I may decide to lay before council. Colleagues, further to our November meeting, I would remind you of the slight changes to the fire evacuation arrangements due to the building works to County Hall. Copies of the fire evacuation procedure plans are available for your information in the council chamber. For any members of the public attending today, copies were made available on your arrival, but spare copies are also available in the public gallery. I ask that you take time to consider these and note that there is no planned fire drill today. Should there be a fire alarm, Please follow the instructions of staff and security. Our assembly point is at the cenotaph. Visitors have also been provided with visitor badges with a summary of information on the back. This information is also available in the public gallery. Please can you hand badges back to officers when you leave the building. My duties over the festive season were full and varied and bursting with hope for a good year ahead. We visited care homes, the cathedral and numerous seasonal services, concerts and productions. We have pantomimes and charity events ahead of us. My Mayor's Charity Curry Night will be taking place on Thursday, 19th of March at the Cinnamon Lounge in Albury, and tickets are now on sale and they are £20 each. Please do support us if you are available for what promises to be a great evening while raising funds for my charities. Tickets are available from myself, Nina, Dave or Councillor Darren Byford. Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 6, members will see that there are 2 deputations before Council today. 2 members of a deputation may address the Council for a maximum of 5 minutes in total. The deputations are not for debate. Members cannot speak to say whether they agree or disagree with them, but may seek clarification on the matters raised, if any is needed. Please could the speakers for the first item regarding gambling arms and the Coalition to End Gambling ads come forward and present the deputation.
Yes. Good afternoon, Madam Mayor. Deputation. Good afternoon. My name is Kay Wadsworth. Firstly, I'd like to thank Councillor Jeffrey for inviting me to speak about my daughter Kimberley, who sadly took her own life in 2018, aged 32. And this is a picture of Kimberley, if you'd like to pass it round. A beautiful, kind girl, funny and very intelligent young lady, caught up in the abhorrent gambling industry who simply want to make money off the backs of vulnerable people. They do not care about the 450 deaths of gambling suicides each year. 5% of gambling addicts give 86% to the gambling industry revenue, without any shame, remorse or social standing, nor moral compass. You will know that gambling adverts are on television all the time. Every other advert is gambling. And moreover, every sports ground and recreational areas known to sports lovers. Even Loose Women, which is on at daytime television, advocating women's health issues, is sponsored by Gala Bingo. Gambling adverts say that when the fun stops, stop. The emphasis of fun in big, bold, black letters if that isn't subliminal messaging, I don't know what is. When the fun stops, stop. Again, the emphasis that clearly puts the onus on you, as you are the problem. In 2023, King Felipe of Belgium decreed that no advertising of gambling companies can be shown on Belgian television. Armed with this information, I wrote to our King Charles regarding this same subject. Kimberley had met the then Prince Charles at her boarding school at the Duke of York's Royal Military School when she was just 17. I have taken the liberty of making copies of this correspondence between me and our King. Chapter 1 is a company that is against gambling, it's for gambling harm prevention, organisation wholly owned by Gambling with Lives, a charity supporting bereaved families who lost loved ones to gambling-related suicides. That's where I am. Sorry. Chapter 1's important work is raising awareness of gambling harm to our young and vulnerable people through education and also with schools, colleges, together with health authorities. Scrupulously set up by Joe and Peter Holloway is another company in Somerset, highlighting gambling harm through their company PG Solutions. Sadly, they lost their son Daniel to gambling suicide in October 2017. Their vital work offers awareness of gambling harm to councils and governing bodies throughout this land. Their company PG Solutions is a lifeline for anyone having gambling problems and useful tools that can be adopted before a crisis. Their vital work offers awareness of gambling harm, and they are upriver to avert a crisis of gambling suicide. Tools crucial for mental well-being, copies are attached. Just to say on a sort of a last note really, sorry, we were out of time. Didn't leave it. It's okay. Go. My friends Sadie and Peter Keel from Enniskillen lost their son Lewis to gambling suicide. He worked in Leeds in banking and his inquest was held right here in Wakefield. The coroner's report said death by hanging, but Sadie insisted that he put the reason why her son died, which was gambling. The coroner was very reluctant, but we believe this was a precedent to cases now being recorded as gambling suicide. But how many in the past have not been recorded? Okay.
Thank you, Kay.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, my name is Nick Harvey and I work for the Coalition to End Gambling Ads, known as SEGA. And while councils can control the amount of advertising on their owned channels and spaces, they're powerless to stop the huge onslaught of gambling advertising that their residents see on the internet, across the media and on privately owned advertising spaces. So I'd like today to invite Wakefield Council to join SEGA in our fight against harmful gambling advertising. This is because the scale of gambling harm in the UK was recently revealed to be significantly higher than previous official statistics suggested, with 2.7%.
Can you wrap up, Mr. Harvey, please? It's your 5 minutes.
I just want to say that there isn't a cost to becoming a SEGA member, and expectations of what you're expected to do are limited. You can do whatever you want to do. We've had several big cities join us recently, including Sheffield, yesterday only, Bristol, Southampton, and we're expecting many big northern cities to join us. And we'd really welcome it if Wakefield could also be one of those and join a broader coalition against what is a national problem. And we don't expect you to be criticising the government, but just standing with us to being a critical friend to the government to end the scourge of harmful gambling ads.
Are there any clarification questions, please? Councillor Williamson.
Just because I think you went over time a little bit, but you're just asking the council to join the coalition, or is there anything else you'd like us to do, you know, in terms of gambling adverts, things like that?
It's completely up to the council how much they want to get involved with any campaigning, but the minimum, yes, which is just to stand with the campaign, put your logo on the website and say, actually, in principle, you support an end to harmful gambling advertising. That would be really appreciated. We've got 13 councils already, like several cities, as I said. It would be fantastic if Wakefield could join, because the adverts are what are causing the harm that Kay has experienced. And without the adverts, we believe that would turn off the tap, but would then mean fewer lives are lost.
Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, I think I can speak for everyone when I say thank you so much for coming to council today to share your story. It means a lot and we're really, really sorry for your loss.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the deputation. The council today is going to debate the new statement of principle of gambling law 2026-2028. I just wonder whether you have been consulted while the council is doing this piece of legal work. No.
Councillor Keith.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I mean, this is a traumatic situation that has developed over the last 20, 25 years with the proliferation of various different things, national lotteries, scratch cards, various different things, and making it far too easy for people to participate in gambling. Yes, you could argue that some of that money has been put to good use, but a lot of that money has been put to line people's pockets. So my concern, and this is where I'll bow to whatever you want to suggest, is that how we stop that spread to a future generation. Have you got any situations where you
Councillor
could suggest
Keith,
the
can I just
councillors...
ask you to bring up a point of clarification, please?
Well, I'm just asking for that. What I'm saying is, have you got anything that you could suggest that we do to stop the spread of this gambling addiction going into schools, into young people, and then passing it on to another generation? Thank you.
Well, the number one thing is to end the advertising, because it normalises gambling. It makes it look like a fun activity where no harms are involved. That would be the one thing. The second thing would be having good education. Like Kay mentioned, there's an organisation called Chapter 1, which goes into schools and actually teaches children about the dangers of gambling advertising. Years ago, children could reel off the names of cigarette companies. Now, you can go
Excuse me, can somebody turn the phone on silent, please? Thank you.
And they can name up to 10 gambling companies. They can't name a cigarette company anymore. We want to get gambling to a place where tobacco is now, where people, it's permitted but not promoted.
Yeah. That will be referred to the Chief Exec for point of clarification, yeah. Councillor Rhodes.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you for the presentation. Strangely enough, I had a call yesterday from a constituent, a very vulnerable constituent, whose first action on a morning is to turn the television on for the gambling sites. Could I just ask, please, what do you have locally for any such groups that can gather together with the same problem, so they're actually supporting each other like other organisations do? And if so, do you have one in the Wakefield area?
We are a national campaign, so we're not working locally in Wakefield, but there are services available, and I'll check those. I don't know whether they are locally for Wakefield, but I do know that there are northern gambling clinics on the NHS, and so if anyone is experiencing gambling addiction, they should first contact their local NHS provider.
They've got an avatar called Ed, and it's basically catching people upriver before they fall in the river, just like Desmond Tutu has said. And they've got special tools to help people that are having gambling problems.
Anybody else? Councillor Cummins.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. I just wonder if the council does have a smoking and gambling cessation committee. I wondered if you knew about that and if you were part of that. And if you're not part of that, then maybe a discussion with Councillor Wilton might help you learn what the council are doing about gambling and smoking cessation.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question. What was that? What was the question?
Sorry, as I say, there is a committee within the council under public health that is gambling and smoking cessation, and it's delivering services and shaping those services for people that do have certainly addictions to gambling. We know it's on the increase and it's dreadful, but I know Councillor Wilton will be able to help you that, and he's sat on the front row there.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Could I ask Councillor Hemingway for his response, please?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm responding on behalf of Denise, who can't be with us this afternoon, but she wanted to pay particular thanks to yourself, Kay. I know you've met with Denise and shared your story, and she found that very moving and would have liked to have been here to hear your deputation. And can I firstly say a massive thank you to Nick and yourself for coming here. I know it's not easy coming in front of a big council chamber and sharing that sort of story, but it is impactful, it's powerful. I think from my point of view, you clearly can't cover everything you need to within the 3 minutes, so I'd like to extend an offer to meet with yourselves to arrange a proper meeting with the Cabinet member, the relevant council managers, to make sure that that takes place and happens, and that we listen to what you have to say in more detail. You've made clear, I think, for all of us in this chamber, the devastating impact of gambling addiction. It can touch any one of us, any one of our families, and advertising has exploded. I think you just have to look around, as you see, to see gambling adverts on the telly, on social media, everywhere. So it's clear that I think the council, the government, everybody, regulators need to move with the pace of change that we're seeing in wider society, and we certainly want to listen to you, to build on the work that we're doing to improve that, both locally, regionally and nationally. And in effect with our procedure rules, what I'll do is, in addition to the meeting I've referred to, I will now formally refer this deputation to our Chief Executive to be considered and an appropriate reply provided to you. And thank you for coming, really appreciate it.
The second deputation is regarding Reclaim the Night. Please could the speakers for this item come forward and present their deputation.
Good afternoon, Madam Mayor, and good afternoon, councillors. My name is Robert White, and I am joined by my fellow classmate, Faith Cook. We are representing our class at Wakefield College, Level 3 Film and TV. Since September 2025, we have been actively involved in Reclaim the Night Wakefield campaign, which has offered many of us a unique and valuable opportunity. We believe that lasting change begins with education, which is why we feel so fortunate to have played an integral role in the campaign and to have learnt so much regarding safety initiatives in Wakefield. Several members of our class had the privilege of taking the motion passed in this very chamber on the 26th of November regarding the early release of perpetrators of domestic crimes to Westminster. The Reclaim the Night March meant a lot to us as a class, as we have members of our class who have had experiences of domestic abuse or violence. Our teacher Gemma has been a constant inspiration to us all, and without her resilience in the face of adversity, we wouldn't have succeeded, and she continues to inspire not just me, but my whole class every single day. We remain committed to raising awareness about violence against women and girls, and in the words of Jerry Marsden, we tell the survivors, you'll never walk alone. We recognise that being a survivor of domestic abuse can often feel quite isolating. Going forward, we're going to be working closely alongside our fantastic Vogue champion Maureen Cummins, as well as the Reclaim the Night Wakefield team. We would encourage Wakefield Council and other local authorities across the country to take a proactive role in addressing violence against women and girls. Firstly, we recommend conducting a review to improve public lighting, transportation and security measures, particularly in areas identified as unsafe. Secondly, we suggest that councils fund and facilitate educational programmes in schools and communities to address the root causes of inequality and discrimination. Thirdly, we advise councils to establish a service that enables members of the public to voice their concerns and contribute to positive change. Finally, it is essential that the Council considers the safety of all members of the community in the design of services, planning applications, transportation initiatives and the development of public spaces. As a class, we do have faith that although we are to leave Wakefield College at the end of the academic year, this will be an ongoing partnership for years to come, and one that myself, Faith and many of my classmates intend to support and help pass on the knowledge and the passion that we have gained from this experience. Reclaim the Night has been a powerful movement to be part of, and in Wakefield it's only just starting. We will continue to raise awareness and urge the Council to implement meaningful changes. Together we can reclaim not just our streets, but our collective future. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any clarification questions? Councillor Cummins?
Yeah, it's not a clarification question, but please allow me to thank Rob and Faith and the young men and young women of the college for supporting not just me, but Natalie, Gwen and Helen in our efforts to make Wakefield streets safer. So thank you very much.
If there's no more questions for clarification, could I hand over to Councillor Hemingway?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you very much for attending to present on this important subject to us this afternoon, and it's one we've rightly talked a lot about in this chamber in recent months. I want to pay tribute to everyone that's been working hard on this agenda to make Wakefield safer for women and girls, including yourselves at Wakefield College and the students there who attended the fantastic Reclaim the Night events in autumn last year. It was brilliant to see so many people attending. And in particular, as you've alluded to, I know our Vogue champion Maureen Cummings, as well as other elected members from Councillor Wilton, Walton, Antcliffe, many others have been working really hard to make sure that the voice of women and girls is heard. You're right that the council, local partners, including West Yorkshire Police, have a role to play in making sure our streets are safe. In this chamber, we have to make sure that people are held to account for that. And we work really closely with the police, including through the Community Safety Partnership, to make practical changes that do make communities safer. I also want to pay tribute to the leadership that the Deputy Mayor for Policing, Alison Lowe, has shown on this issue. A survivor herself, she attended the Reclaim the Night. I think she's been a really prominent voice, and it seems to me that at West Yorkshire level, there's never been as much support and willingness to act on this agenda, which is a great thing to see. But I know everyone who supports and attended Reclaim the Night, and I'm sure yourselves, want to see meaningful change, lasting progress. It's great you've come here to raise it again today. And with that in mind, I'd like to refer the deputation to the Chief Executive for consideration in line with the Council procedure rules. Thank you. Thanks, Madam Mayor.
Agenda item 7 is to consider the Leader's report. Due to the Leader not being here today, the Deputy Leader will present the report and has up to 10 minutes to do so. There are a further 20 minutes allocated to respond to any questions or brief comments relating to the report or any other matter relating to the Leader's role and responsibilities. Councillor Hemingway.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Unfortunately, colleagues, Denise is unwell with the winter flu that's going around at the moment, and she asked me to stand in for today. I did speak to her last night, and she wanted me to pass on her apologies and best wishes to everyone at the meeting. This is actually the first meeting of council she's ever missed as leader, and I think that tells you about the phenomenal work ethic that she has and that she would be here if she could be. Madam Mayor, I'll now move the Leader's report. Colleagues, I think we've all noticed that these council meetings have been getting longer and longer. Finishing meetings at 9 o'clock at night is not in anybody's interests. When a meeting takes so long, we're not debating important issues, we're often just squabbling with each other, often in an ill-tempered manner, and sometimes about things the council has no control over. This has damaging impacts for members across the chamber who have caring responsibilities, who have disabilities, who might plan for a 4-hour meeting which suddenly becomes 7. It also has a negative impact for everyone watching at home and what people think about our political process. So I want to appeal to everybody. It's really important we get through the business effectively today. We're giving everyone notice now at the start of this meeting that the controlling group won't be supporting any extension to suspend the procedure rules. If all members work together and we're professional as we should be in how we debate across political boundaries, we should comfortably be able to get through the business in the 4 hours that's allocated under the council constitution. And there are less motions on the agenda today. Moving on to the budget, because it is budget season and members will have seen we've published our annual budget proposals for the 26-27 financial year. We'll have a full opportunity to debate how we meet the 23.4 million budget challenge at Budget Council on the 2nd of March. But in advance of that, I just wanted to say the budget this year really does show the difference that having experienced, stable local leadership makes for the priorities of our residents. Councils across the country, including those run by Reform and the Conservatives, are struggling to balance the books. The responsible and long-term leadership that's provided by this group over many years means we've been able to propose a balanced approach to our budget setting process. This includes investing significant amounts, almost £21 million extra in the coming year, in essential local services, including meeting growing demand for adult care and to give our young people the best start in life. All of this progress will be put at risk by the chaos that some of the parties opposite would bring. You can already see the impact of the chaos in other parts of the country. Local people shouldn't take essential services that this council provides for granted, nor the fact that, again, Wakefield is certain to continue to have the lowest council tax in West Yorkshire, even after our budget is set. Anybody who tells you that they can do something different without decimating frontline public services is being deeply irresponsible and gambling with the future of the district. Elsewhere in the country, some councils have taken that risk. It always leads to the same thing, which is services slashed to the bone, much higher council tax rises in the long term, and the most vulnerable in communities suffering the most. Our budget will be a grown-up one, focused on reliable bin collections, improving roads, filling potholes, tackling antisocial behaviour, creating better parks and green spaces, boosting our high streets and local businesses, and supporting the vulnerable, as I've set out. We will never take a risk with Wakefield's future, and residents can count on us to focus on the important things that matter to them. We wanted to include something this month about our support for the most vulnerable people in the district, and later on the agenda today we'll be approving a 100% council tax discount for residents with terminal illnesses, reducing financial stress for individuals and families experiencing the most challenging times. Our free Money Smart advice services help hundreds of residents to manage their money more effectively and to make the most of their income. And we've also proudly partnered with Zarac, a specialist charity working so that every child has a safe place to sleep to tackle bed poverty. These are really practical things that only a Labour council would do. And we're doing that because the council's well run and we can invest in the things that do matter to people. Everybody should know that's at risk with the stability of this council were things to change. Moving on, Madam Mayor, our adults and health strategy was approved at Cabinet on the 13th of January. The strategy will drive improvement in our services, making sure we provide high quality support for people with a joined up whole system way of working. The strategy sets out the level of ambition our teams and partners are aiming for, so everyone can play their part in providing the best possible care for residents who rely on our services. I'm sure Councillor Collins will probably mention more on this in her report, along with the situation on CareLink, which I know is due to be discussed also on the motions later today. The update this month from Denise on property is that we've appointed a managing agent contractor to manage hard facility services for the council and support the management of Robertson FM until the contract ends. That's Bellrock Property and Facilities Management, who have been selected as the managing agent with the contract starting in April this year. The appointment will bring increased capacity to manage facility services and provides an opportunity to further upskill our own facilities management team, reducing reliance on external contractors, as we all want to see. And finally, Madam Mayor, Rhubarb Festival is back on the 20th of February, offering something for everyone to enjoy with popular food and music and drink, regional treats, live music, chef demonstrations, and family-friendly activities. It's a weekend packed with flavour and fun. It's always good, and I'm sure Councillor Appleyard will cover more on that later. And with that, Madam Mayor, I'll conclude the Leader's report and invite any questions. Thank you.
Are there any comments or questions on the Leader's report? Councillor Williams, sir.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple. First, I think on the lengths of meetings, I think it's quite disappointing that you don't really want meetings to go past 4 hours. Of the last few meetings where we've gone on till 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, we've been here discussing important issues like reintroducing council-owned housing, you know, to tackle the 27,000 people on the housing waiting list, to look at reviewing outsourced arrangements to see if we can save money and spend that money on other services to benefit the residents of the district. We've got motions here tonight on CareLink, as you know, is having a negative impact on elderly residents across the district. We've got stuff on care workers. These are all issues we're discussing that are vital to the interests of us residents, of the staff of this council and the operation of this council. And we all get paid an allowance to attend these meetings, and I think the residents we're elected to serve, right, should be able to expect councillors to attend 10 council meetings a year, because that's all we're expected to attend, right? And we should be able to stay here from the start until every item on the agenda has been finished, where we're discussing and making decisions. And I think I'd urge the Deputy Leader and the Labour Group to rethink, you know, that stance if this meeting happens to need to go beyond 6 p.m. tonight. And then I think on the topic of if other parties, you know, got control of the council, that bring chaos in terms of cuts to services and stuff, but that's all we've ever had for the last 15 years from this Labour authority anyway. It was only last year we had a budget which cut £30 million, you know, from services and cut up to 250 jobs. So it seems to me we've already got that chaos, and I fail to see how we could do worse under a new administration.
Yeah, to come back in on that, Madam Mayor, I completely disagree, Councillor Willis. When you look at councils across the country that have asked for emergency financial assistance, that are in special measures, that need extra support from government, this council isn't. This council has a stable budget position. Yes, we've made tough choices because we've had to, but we've always made the right choices. We've always delivered excellent public services, whether it's our bins, where 99.99% of them are collected on time without any incident, whether it's filling potholes. This council does the bread and butter stuff really well. And actually, I know you're opposition councillors, but we need to talk up the council's successes as well as constantly try to do it down. This is not a chaotic council. This is a stable council that has invested successfully in communities for many years, been shortlisted for national awards. So I simply disagree with you on that. As for the 4-hour meeting, there is no reason we cannot cover all the business on the agenda in 4 hours. That's what the council constitution sets out for the meeting length. There's no reason to go beyond that. I'm sure if we all work together, put the pertinent points across, we can cover the meeting's business within that time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, I've got 3 points to make. Firstly, you are where you want to be, Jack, isn't it? Look at you, leader. You're not bothered about experience. You're not bothered, because if you were bothered about experience, you wouldn't have a guy managing poverty who's barely 25 years old, who's never had a job in his life. You're not bothered. The council procedure rules, if you take out your motions, you're the controlling group, you can get everything that you want to put as far as motions through Cabinet. There's no reason why any Labour person should be standing up making a motion that asking to write letters to Royal Mail when they can do that off their own back. You don't need to bring that to council. You control the council. You should be doing that off your own back. Then we can get it to 4 hours.
Sorry, Councillor Pritchard, I didn't hear what you said. Can we let Councillor Pritchard speak, please?
At this point, but if we can keep the temperature down and not make personal remarks.
Yeah, that is a point what's not raised at this point. But can I remind you not to make personal remarks? How many times have we been told in this council chamber, but we still keep doing it? Thank you. Have you finished, Councillor?
No,
right,
I've done 2 points. I'm going on my third, okay? How much is this property managing agent to manage hard facilities? Because, you know, if I'm not mistaken, we have officers in this council to do that. We pay people in this council to do that. So are you saying that we're not only paying people and we haven't made them redundant, we're seeking outside help and outsourcing and paying them as well? Isn't that a waste of public money? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just to come back on a couple of points there, Councillor Sharp, I don't agree this is about saving money, it's about more control for the council, exercising that over the contracts that we've had. This is a change to the model from an external contractor to a managing agent where we can procure things more directly and exercise control over it. So it should be a net saving, if anything, to the council. I'm sure the leader will send out more information and a briefing on that, but this is an improvement as far as I'm concerned. I completely disagree with you regarding the postal situation. Of course we should debate about the situation with Royal Mail affecting our residents in this chamber. There's residents who've had appointments missed, who've had birthday cards that were never delivered. It matters to our residents. It's not a political thing. This is something we absolutely ought to discuss and vote on in this chamber, so I make no apologies. We will be debating that issue. And as for Councillor Wilton, he's doing a fantastic job as Cabinet member. Whatever his age might be, he's doing a brilliant job. And I think we ought to recognise that. So I don't think we should belittle people for their age, for their characteristics. Let's recognise the fact that Dan's doing a great job in difficult circumstances, and he's quite frankly proven himself. So if you've got a specific policy issue with him where you've got umbrage or you've got an issue, raise that with him. Please let me finish, Councillor Sharp. And he's doing an excellent job.
Councillor Sharp, will you please not shout over in the council chamber when Councillor Hemingway's trying... When Councillor Hemingway is trying to explain. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've said what I need to say. Dan's been an excellent appointment. He's doing a fantastic job, and that's all I've got to say on the matter. Thank you.
No, it's Harvey first. Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. About the budget, it is very important we know every penny, how every penny has been spent in this council. But sometimes I do believe that millions has gone to waste without a trace. So I'd like to know 2 points on the budget. The number one, back in November, Wakefield Express clearly has a report running to say there is £3.1 million of deficit in this council chamber 2026-2027 budget. And then get to January the 13th, when the cabinet met after Christmas, this budget hole become £23.4 million. And in a layman's term, what's the different definition of budget deficit in November is different from the one that we're using on the 13th of January. I have raised this point with the other scrutiny meeting, committee meeting, and I do think that this council owes the public a clear explanation, a clarity how this has happened. And I know that some of our members saying, okay, the people in Wakefield does not care for budget. That is wrong. They take the voters for fools. So that's my first question. I think that we owe the people a proper explanation. I do not still get it. I request a bridge document to actually let us know what the difference, why it has become to this, but that has fell deaf ears. Number two, about this council tax support. Last September, the council made a decision to actually severely reduce the support they're going to give to the working families struggle to pay their council tax. So their idea is to reduce any household have £16,000 of saving to £6,000 for them not be able to entitle even 1 penny of the council tax support. We all know the council tax is going to go up by 4.99% this year again, and it's a double whammy. What has been put in place is £200,000 of so-called council tax support fund, but that is a drop in the ocean. It's not enough. I ask again, what has happened? I was told by the chief executive, he confirmed that the Labour Council has made a political choice to do this. You save millions, you squeeze further from thousands of households in Wakefield, and you make them poorer. What a rotten political choice you have made. Please do explain to the people in Wakefield why don't they deserve a proper or more help that they should have when they're working. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Councillor Abbott, you talk about taking voters for fools. Well, I would say if you stand under a political banner and you say, I'm proud to be of that political banner, and then a year later you defect to another political party, that's taking voters for fools, because where's the democratic mandate that those voters gave you when you stood for that political party? So I fundamentally think you're on the wrong track there. As for the budget this year, there is a budget gap that's grown, and that gap's been addressed with the saving measures we proposed. That's not money lost. That's care pressures in adults and children's, where extra money's had to go in to make sure that vulnerable people are looked after. That's not lost our way, that's spent on caring for people who need the council's support. And that's been very clearly explained to you in the budget meetings. It's been explained by everyone that you've asked that this money has been allocated for care. The council's still setting a balanced budget. We've got a consultation. If you don't agree with spending that on care and you want to take that risk and think vulnerable people shouldn't be cared for, by all means propose that as an alternative budget, but we will never take that risk on this side of the chamber. As for council tax support, we've discussed that a number of times. I'm conscious there's a motion on that later today. I know Councillor Pickersgill's been engaging with members. There are tough choices to be made. We always try to make the right compassionate choice, but I'm not hearing from you where any alternatives might be coming from as to reversing some of those changes. So I think it is incumbent on you as well to be responsible and identify changes when you come in here and criticising everything the council's doing. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Well,
Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, thank you. In the report, it's mentioned about balancing the books and including struggles to afford services and a lack of funding for local government. I'm just wondering what the Cabinet and the leader or whoever of the Labour group, what is being done to lobby and campaign to get more funding for local government, and how are the 4 local MPs being utilised to get more funding for local government so we are having to see so many cuts being done? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Roberts. Yeah, this side of the chamber, we are constantly lobbying our MPs, writing to government ministers, pushing for the fair funding settlement that we deserve as a council, as an authority. I think it's fair to say where the government doesn't fund us sufficiently, we will criticise that. We are making clear that we think Wakefield should be provided with further funding. We'll do that with meetings with our MPs. We've done that with letters to ministers. We will lobby and support that. We are always pushing to make sure that Wakefield gets the fairer funding that it deserves, and we'll keep doing that. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Will you, Councillor Sharp, will you please stop shouting out across the chamber? You do it time and time again. If it keeps happening, I'm going to go out of this chamber.
Madam Mayor, point of order. I've just been accused of lying by Councillor Sharp. She asked to retract that. She's not explained why I'm lying. She's not given any evidence or...
Yeah. Sorry, Councillor Mayor, I didn't hear that because I was trying to...
Point of order, Madam Mayor, that Councillor Sharp has just several times...
No, I heard what you've just said. I didn't hear her say that. Councillor Sharp, can you kindly retract that statement?
Can I have the proof that he has been writing to MPs and pushing for more funding for the council? And then I'll retract it once I get that evidence. Okay. So you need to provide me the proof, thanks.
That will be sent.
Because when we first started the year under your mayorship, we were told that Rachel Reeves lives down the road and we can access her.
Right, you have spoken, so we're going to move on now.
That doesn't seem to be the case, so get me the proof. Get me the proof and I'll retract it.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to make a point of clarification on Councillor Williamson's statement about we get an allowance to attend this meeting. We actually get an allowance to attend scrutinies, both here and in West Yorkshire. We also get an allowance to attend packed meetings and be in our ward daily and take on casework. And we also get allowances to attend community events and coffee mornings. That's what the allowance is for.
Councillor Pritchard, did you want to right, okay, thank you. Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To say I'm disappointed about your 6 o'clock ruling is an understatement, Jack. We're here to debate, right? If you all want to go at 6 o'clock, go at 6 o'clock. I'm prepared to stop here till 9, 10 o'clock, till all the motions have come through. It's out of order that. 6 o'clock, at 6 o'clock, it doesn't make any difference at 6 o'clock for me. And I've heard you talking about allowances. I'm not here for allowances. I'm here to represent the people of Ossett. And if it goes on till Ossett and Gorthorpe, sorry. And if it goes on till 7, 8 o'clock tonight, then so be it. And you talk about chaos, Jack. Please don't talk about chaos. When 200 miles down the road, that lot up there are causing so much chaos in this country, it's unbelievable.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I've made the position absolutely clear, Madam Mayor, on what we're doing and why on that, Nick. We will call out chaos where we see it from reform councils that have promised to freeze council tax and then increase it, that are cutting adult social care facilities. We're not going to stay silent on that. Neither will we stay silent when our own government gets things wrong, and we've proven repeatedly in this chamber that we will call out bad decisions, bad policies, and not be afraid to say that.
Councillor Tully.
Can I just say this? That 16 years I've been coming to this council, and I can never ever recall, probably on every one, maybe two occasions, where councils run over after 5, 6 o'clock at night. But it's become quite apparent this last couple of 3 months, to the extent that I've got sick to death of coming here, to be quite honest with you. Because I'll tell you this now, if people want to come to this council chamber and play silly games and be personal and be slagging people off, well, that's why we'll be here while 6 and 7 at night. It's quite clear, Chair, Madam Chair, and I think it's incumbent on you and the office of this council as well. We have reports. We've had them for donkey's years. We have reports to cabinet members. We've had them for donkey's years. But we've still been able to conclude our business in a reasonable amount of time, and it might have run over. But if we keep wanting to use cabinet reports for party political point scoring and slagging people off, we will be here while 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night. And I would like to ask this council today, if we're not prepared, if there's a report given, why can't we have a single sentence question put to that cabinet member so we can make some progress? Because I want to see this agenda completed today. Because I didn't come to last time, and I'm a little bit confused today because we have another round of musical chairs, but I can live with that. But the point I'm making is this. If people ask questions in singular to the cabinet member responsible and get the answer, there is no reason why we cannot conclude cabinet reports motions, agendas and the tea party at the same time, because for the last 16 years that's all we've continued to do, and for the last 3 months we've come to this council chamber to create havoc, to make sure that we can make statements like people are making over there, so we can keep people here while 8 and 9 and 10 o'clock at night, and it's not acceptable.
Madam Mayor, are we seriously calling it playing games when opposition councillors and stuff come to this council chamber with serious policy proposals to meet the needs of the people of this district? That's his job. I think the Councillor Tully should retract that statement.
Councillor Rose, and can I just remind you we've only got 2.5 minutes left. Thank you.
I'll be very brief, Madam Mayor. Can I just refer back to the comments originally made by Councillor Harvey regarding the situation of the budget. I'm sure she will remember that at the last Resources Committee, where our Chief Executive attended, under the...
What's your point of order, Councillor?
I am responding. Madam Mayor, I am responding because this is the budget that was introduced by the leader and commented on by a member of the opposition. That's the position we take quickly to deal with questions and get the answers. I'll refresh. Under the chairmanship of our comrade
is this a comment to Council?
It is. On the budget situation, a representation was made by Councillor Harvey in commenting on exactly the same things that she mentioned today. Can I just inform under the chairman here that that question was answered twice in clarity and transparency at that meeting. And I'm sorry to see that it hasn't yet sunk in. And I'm being personal, but do forgive me, Samantha, it's not meant to be. And at the same time, I think people out here ought to remember as well, and the gallery, that the council tax is actually under the previous Tory government includes 2% put onto everybody in Wakefield district to pay for social care. That's how it's made up of. That's an increase from the Tories on the council tax here in Wakefield. So let's get the position clear. Greater understanding, if it's needed, to the Deputy Leader today, encompassing what the Chief Exec made at the Resources Committee, might be better put in writing to Councillor Harvey so she can then read it again.
No, you haven't got a right to reply. No.
Councillor Harvey, the right to reply relates to motions. We're not on that part of the agenda. What you do have, and it's printed at the front of the council agenda, is a point of clarification which is available when a member has materially misunderstood something that you have said. If you wish to phrase it like that, the Mayor can deal with it.
Councillor Harvey.
Madam Mayor, I do feel that this is really not the time for us to spend the time for the political tit for tat, because Councillor Rose, you know, every single question I ask is for the people of Wakefield, and your explanation does not cut. There is no way you could call budget deficit 2 different ways, and you've got
Councillor Harvey.
Councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey. Councillor Harvey. We will conduct this council meeting in the correct manner, please. Right, can we all sit down? And we've run out of time. We now move on to agenda item 8, to consider Cabinet member reports. Cabinet members have up to 5 minutes to present their report, and there are a further 15 minutes allocated to enable each Cabinet member to respond to any questions or brief comments on matters within their portfolio area. The first report is from the portfolio holder for regeneration and economic growth. Councillor Hemingway, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's me again, I'm afraid, but I will try and keep this, this brief. In moving my report to Council, I want to respond to recent developments in the city centre. Colleagues will have seen the news about M&S relocating their city centre store to City Fields. Obviously, this is good news for City Fields, who've been desperate for facilities, but it is bad news for the city centre, and it definitely, we acknowledge, will have an impact on the ridings in that part of town that we need to deal with, and we need to get involved and support businesses as a council. It is part of M&S national strategy to withdraw from high street stores and to move to out-of-town retail, and more than 100 stores around the country have done so or are in the process of doing it. So Wakefield is very much not immune to this, it's part of a national strategy. But I want to assure members that we are working hard behind the scenes with local businesses, with the owner of the ridings, with our partners on regeneration plans for that part of the city. We will step in, we will take the bold action that's necessary, and I hope to be able to share these developing plans with colleagues soon, and certainly before the next meeting of this council. On another item, some good news regarding Castleford Market is set out on agenda page 31 of my report. It's seen an increase in footfall of 21% over the last year, with 1.25 million people coming through the doors and new traders attracted. And I want to put on record my thanks to the Council's Markets team for their efforts in making this happen and the highly successful events programme they ran last year. Finally, Madam Mayor, I'm really pleased to inform members that the sale of land for 80 new affordable homes has been approved for Phase 4 of City Fields. This will be 100% affordable development, with Yorkshire Choice Homes as the registered provider, and it will include a majority of homes for social rent, as well as a number of bungalows with disability adaptations. And with that, I move my report, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Councillor Hemingway. Are there any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, from the last council meeting, Jack, you haven't got me the costs of what it cost to plan and then back out of all the regeneration in the city centre when there was a substation that was built. Not heard back from you or any of your officers. I don't know whether you passed it on, but I do want the costs of that because, as you know, I'm trying to formulate an alternative budget. Support 100% affordable homes. What do you class as an affordable home and how much are they going to be? I think people would be really interested to know that.
Well, apologies on that information, Councillor Sharp. I will get that to you. I thought I had sent something on, but I'll double check and make sure we get all the facts that you requested from the previous council meeting. Just on the 100% affordable development, as I've alluded to, this isn't all about purchase. This is a majority of homes for social rent. So that will be affordable rent for people, which is obviously just as important as being able to buy an affordable home. And I'm pleased about the bungalows being in there. It will be affordable as by the metric that we use for affordable homes for purchase. So it will be lower than market rate. There will be a mix of shared ownership options that we're working through with Yorkshire Choice Housing. It's early stages yet. The land's been sold. Obviously, it's got to go through all the processes. But I'm more than happy to share further detail on that. It's something that I think should be welcomed, though, to see a development with 100% affordable coming forward. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just picking up on the affordable housing scheme on City Fields. All too often, these schemes are not affordable at all, especially to a lot of people in this district. Now, you mentioned there's going to be a majority for social rent. What do you mean specifically by social rent? Are you just meaning the old traditional council house type, you know, rented out by WDH, where it's purely, you know, rent of a couple of £100 a month, or are you also including shared ownership homes in that social rent allocation? Because obviously there's a mortgage bit and a rent bit on that. So, and then just a second question on M&S. Obviously, it is a big blow to the city centre, and a lot of elderly residents have said they've probably not got much of a reason to come to the city centre anymore if that moves to City Fields, because they can't, in all likelihood, get there. And it was my understanding, just slightly going off topic, when Debenhams closed down in Ridings, the council approached Primark to try to get to move into the old Debenhams unit in Trinity Walk. So did the council approach M&S to try and get them to move from their current location to the location in City Fields? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. To come back on those points, no, absolutely not. We did not ask M&S to move. We did not look for them to move. This is part of a national strategy. 100 stores of theirs or more have relocated. This was not driven by the council, but we have to respond to that. It's good news in a sense they're not withdrawing completely, because some places have lost an M&S presence entirely. We will be keeping ours, but I accept what you're saying in terms of it being more difficult for people to get to. We will be looking at options as we bring forward new regeneration plans for the city centre about making sure we've got the right retail, supermarket, shopping mix for people so that they choose to come into Wakefield. On the question regarding the social rent, that's separate from the shared ownership. So the social rent will be, it's a majority, I've not got the precise figure, it's expected to be a majority of the homes for social rent and then some for shared ownership on top of that. So it is in addition. So it is a really positive scheme. Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, following a similar theme on affordable homes, and it's mentioned in the report as well about affordable homes and that there's support for 100%. In terms of what would be affordable in the Wakefield district, by my calculations, which could be wrong, but hopefully not, the range should be between like £80,000 and £150,000. How many of the homes will be affordable to buy at that sort of rate? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The land has just been sold for this scheme, so I'm not able to confirm the exact values of all the properties in there. I'm not sure that they would fall as low as that, Councillor Roberts. I think obviously with shared ownership you can look at models where you can bring the cost down, but with the housing market where it is, I'm not sure that they would be cheaper than around the 80,000 mark. I don't think that's necessarily realistic, but we would be able to support people with shared ownership. We will be bringing forward more details on the plans as they're worked up with Yorkshire Choice Housing.
Councillor Gert. Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been brought up quite numerous times about social housing and the number of people waiting. Thousands of people are waiting in this district for housing, and some of them, people have come to me, more than 10 years have been waiting for housing to get into Ossett. So I'm a little bit alarmed by what the government are doing now, because around 200 local authorities have shown interest in the government pilot project, worth up to £200 million to build or refurbish housing for asylum seekers, aiming to reduce the reliance on hotels. 5 councils have confirmed that for the scheme are Brighton and Hove, Hackney, Peterborough, Thanet and Powys. Simply, everybody seems to be, or certain people seem to be jumping the queue. And how do you explain to the people in Wakefield if that's going to happen? Because I want to know, as Wakefield Council, one of those local authorities showing interest in that project? No. That's fine. Thank you. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Let's be really clear, Nick. We don't want any miscommunication or misinformation. Wakefield Council has not approached the government about being involved in such a scheme. I think Council's made its position very clear in previous meetings around this, that we would not support that. Obviously, we want people who are seeking refuge legitimately to be supported, to have the right facilities, but the Council is not actively pursuing that and hasn't made inquiries with the government around that issue.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Jack, so what is the council's liability or what support we need to have for the Riding Shopping Centre after Marks & Spencer moved out of town? And talk about political banners you mentioned early on. I remember one year you come out of your meeting, your members come out with a banner to say that defend democracy. So don't talk about political banners with me. Yours not any better.
I didn't quite catch all of that, Madam Mayor. The Council will work with the ridings, will work with any stakeholder, and we are doing at the moment with key businesses and partners around the city to make sure we get those regeneration plans right, to make sure we bring forward exciting proposals, which, as I say, are being developed. They are at early stages, but we will be bringing those forward soon. I think your last point was around democracy. I've been absolutely clear. I think the biggest threat to democracy is when you have representatives elected on a particular mandate who then defect to another political party and don't seek to renew that mandate because the public haven't put you there to choose willy-nilly which political party you want to represent. They've put you there because you were elected under a particular banner promising particular things. So I think that is a threat to democracy, if anything.
Please don't shout across the council chamber. Thank you, Councillor Hemingway, for your report. Councillor Collins, would you please introduce your report to Council for Portfolio Holder for Adults and Health?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And there are lots of things that I could share from my report in terms of what has happened in adult social care since the last council meeting. I would just like to take a little moment just to acknowledge the hard work of all our frontline staff within adults and health over the Christmas period. Lots of them would have spent time away from their families over the festive season to make sure that our most vulnerable are cared for. I am just going to focus on CareLink, I think, in moving my report, and then I'm happy to take questions from any member on anything else. I'm not going to stand here and debate the ins and outs of whether we should have got a letter, at what point we should have got a letter, and by whom we should have been sent a letter. We are all in the public domain. We have email addresses in the public domain. If somebody wanted to pass a letter on, it would have been sent. What I will address from this letter, because I was as surprised as probably most people in it, in the content, is the continuous disingenuous statement that VICO appear to continuously be pushing, trying to place blame for their decisions at this council's door. And I want to be absolutely clear that while the council, yes, has been looking at the funding agreements for our people, the people that we provide that service for as part of an agreed assessed care need will continue to receive a service. There will be no break. And if we'd have just been speaking about these people, there would have been no noise. They wouldn't have been concerned and there would not have been confusion, because the council would have had a seamless transition to another provider. The issue we've got is VICO making the decision to close their service to their people, and they can keep trying to conflate the issue and keep trying to mix up that is a strategic decision that VICO have made that impacts their residents, that we are going to have to pick up the pieces of. I am happy to take any questions on the work being done. I know VICO have sent out a really lovely note that says all of the wonderful work they're doing. I would just like to put on record tribute to actually VICO officers who are working on the ground with our officers to try and make this as seamless as possible for those vulnerable. This is not a decision that necessarily any of them have taken, and they are trying to work with us the best they can to protect people. We continue to meet with them weekly to have them assurances, to have them checks and balances in place, and to make sure that people aren't slipping through the cracks. In terms of what pressure that's put on our service at the moment, they've just started disconnecting, and where people have not necessarily received a letter, they'll get a card through the door to say it's been done. We have worked with them to try and make sure now that every person should get a phone call if they've not contacted VICO already, to make sure that we're not missing those people and that we are getting anybody that needs that transition through to adult social care is coming through. We'll know more within the coming months of how this looks for us as an organisation and what stresses this puts on adult social care, because between now and March, that's when they'll start being disconnected, where we may start seeing people that have not access to service that start coming through the doors of adult social care and needing that. And I will, of course, keep members updated. I think I'll leave it there, Madam Mayor, and I'm open to any questions and comments on my report and CareLink.
Are there any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Farmer.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thanks for the report, Michelle. Just page 33, it says our CareLink. Does the CareLink belong to Wakefield Council, and do they pay for CareLink in full? You said in there our CareLink, so I presume that belongs to... Oh, apologies.
Yeah.
Yeah, you talked about our CareLink, so I presume that the CareLink belongs to Wakefield Council.
She's heard the question, she just wanted you to turn your microphone off so she can answer you.
Thanks. When we refer to our CareLink, so we have this, we know that there is a service that's, you know, give or take circa 12,000 people that CareLink is provided to directly from VICO. When we talk about our CareLink, so it's the agreement that we have with VICO for, you know, between around 1,400 residents who have an assessed care need that need that tech-enabled care. So they've had an assessment, a care needs assessment. We have said this is what they need. VICO provide that service for us. A very small, about 25% of the service is our people. VICO run then their own service, which is for the big bulk of people, and that's where the problem is that we were commissioning a new provider. We were going to transition to a new provider, and that would have been seamless because we were doing that as an authority. There would have been a transition. VICO appeared to have taken that and piggybacked onto the back of it to make their decision for their organisation to close. And it was at the last council meeting that I said to it, with immediate effect to anybody else. So what we've seen, I think, from perhaps last week was the first decommissioning of their own services being done. Anybody that's provided by the council will see no change. They will continue to receive a service from VICO up to September or sooner. They'll not. We will, as soon as possible, get something else in place for them. So Vico have committed to providing up to September, but it may well be that we have another provider in place before that to transition them over. There will be no break in service. The issues arise around the people for Vico who have been sent a letter directing them to other providers, some are not necessarily appropriate for them, which is where the bulk of the people come and people are having problems.
Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for your honesty, Michelle. In your view, who do you think is responsible for the failure of this going wrong then? If it's not us, and Vico Homes are saying it's not them, who's responsible for this?
I want to be very clear that I don't think it's a failure. I think it's a choice. We knew as an authority, we knew that our service was going to change. We knew in the service that we were going to provide, and because of some conversations around the financing, that we weren't going to continue with Vico on that very small element of the service. What we didn't know and weren't told about and weren't able to plan with was that Vico made the decision for their organisation to close that. That's not something we had any foresight on, not something that we had any conversations around being able to stop. They made that decision for themselves, for their organisation, for reasons which I'm sure whoever you speak to will get a different answer on. That's their decision for their organisation. It's not a failure as such. It's a strategic decision that they have decided that they no longer wish to pursue providing that kind of service to their residents.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Last Cabinet meeting, you have actually agreed a document called Adults and Health Strategy 2030. So that lay out the next 5 years of work the Council needs to do in your portfolio. So we all know that it costs more than 60% in adult social care, children's care of the whole Council budget each year. And I wonder whether this document will come back to the full Council for all the members to scrutinise and to debate on, because it's too important to miss it, just been decided by the Cabinet meeting. Thank you.
Thanks. So, yeah, I mean, it's a public document, it's a public meeting, it's a strategy moving forward that was agreed at Cabinet. As with all of these things, as we move towards the progress in it and where we're going into our achievements, we'll always be at scrutiny, is always open to be called in and scrutinised by members of the scrutiny committee, which is cross-party, and they are always keeping on our toes and making sure that what we want to deliver, we are doing. But as with everything, there's always an action plan, there is always a tracker to see where we're at and where we need to be. But yeah, I mean, we're not trying to hide anything and make decision-making. It's available.
Sorry, Madam Mayor. So your answer is, will it come back to the full Council to be debated on, or it just will avoid member scrutiny? £8.8 million has been put extra for this year's Council budget. So we need to know how the money is being spent.
Gillian wants to speak.
Thank you, members. Just to be really clear, that is a strategy that has to be approved by Cabinet rather than Council, which is why it went where it went.
Yeah.
Yes, we have put extra money into adult social care because people need it. We have done an enormous amount of work on this council to make sure that we are doing that preventative stuff. But what we are seeing is huge demand for the services. Now, we're not wasting money. We're not saying to people, here, have a service, you don't need it. We are absolutely fundamentally meeting our requirements of the Care Act and making sure that people can live comfortably and well. So I make no apologies that my service area has got the biggest budget, because we have the biggest need. We need to look after people in their homes. We need to try and put in the preventive measures so that they can live well for as long as possible and as independently for as long as possible. And if that means another £8 million in the budget, then that means another £8 million in the budget.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just touching on the care link, I think everybody in this chamber will know that I really don't rate Vico Homes. I think I've made that quite clear numerous times in the past. But I am just a little bit concerned of how this whole care link situation arose, and I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. But I'd just like to know when the council had decided that obviously they were going to procure those services from another organisation. Because I had a call from a constituent the other week whose mother is a private paying CareLink user and he works for the council, and he said that the council were in discussions with VICO like 9 to 12 months ago. And I just wonder, was there any indication from those discussions that VICO were going to that could, you know, they could potentially pull the stunt they did in the end, and could the council have maybe prepared a little bit better? And on another thing, have we considered bringing the CareLink service in-house rather than going out to PKO with another company? Because I'm just mindful if this happens in the future as well, where we're in another mess, and it's probably going to cost more money, you know, to try and rectify that. That's all. So, thank you.
Councillor Collins, can you just answer the second one, because I think you've answered the first one before.
I can. So I think we were having conversations in terms of our element of the service across the last 12 months. Absolutely, we were prepared for that. We absolutely knew about it. What came left field was the same time everybody else found out. We found out that they were closing their service, which is why statements that are put out continuously trying to place blame at the council I find incredibly disingenuous and not the actions of a partner that wants to work really well with us. In terms of our CareLink service, look, I would love nothing more than to stand here and say we're fetching it back in-house. I would love nothing more, because that's ultimately where we want to be in a direction. At the moment, what we need to focus on is being able to provide a continued service for the people, and the timeframes are just very small. There is nothing, you know, this is not a forever contract, so there is nothing stopping us being able to look at what that might look like in the future. I think my focus and our focus at the moment is to make sure that there is a continuation for those people, so that we don't get people losing a service, and the people that we provide through our council service have that continuation. But absolutely, it's a conversation I know that that we're having with lots of people, and it will be something that moving forward we look into how that may or may not work and how it looks. It would have been nicer to have been able to look at what a whole service approach might have looked like, but ultimately we weren't given that option. I can get back to you with exact dates off the top of my head. I don't have them, but we are currently within the procurement process towards the back end of it. Potentially
Councillor Speak. Pardon, or did somebody shout out then? No. Councillor Speak.
The more and more I keep, like, the info keeps coming in, and I am so confused on who's done what, where we're at, what's happening. I do not know how our residents feel when I can't even come to grips with what people have done, when it happened, who's at play. And none of it, it's all immaterial. What matters is that every person who's now on CareLink, who needs CareLink, whether it be within the divide of this or that, which is obviously, you know, VICO or the council, whoever's in, all them people, not one or the other, there should be no divide. Our priority, number one, should be that every single person is looked at and made sure that the service carries on. And that's it, as far as I'm concerned, because it's the whole situation. I could go to town on everybody, but I'm not even going to bother, because there's no point in putting blame. What needs to happen is correction, and we just need to make sure that that happens, in my view.
I couldn't agree more with you. I think it's very difficult, and which is why I've tried to update when I can, when we've got a comprehensive update, because actually there is just so much information, that particularly misinformation all over social media about CareLink at the moment, and why people are doing what's happening, who's affected, the timescales. I think that could have been managed much better, the communication. I think there is a lot of learning there, not you know, in terms of we weren't made aware of decisions that were made, letters were sent out that could have been done jointly. In terms of the divide, we will make sure our people are transitioned, and they will automatically transition to another service. That's inevitable that they will be secured in that service, because we are moving them. In terms of anybody that's in the private payers, we don't necessarily have their details, but what we are doing is having weekly operational meetings with VICO, that we have the risks on the agenda and communication on the agenda as well every single week, so that we're holding each other accountable. So actually VICO have signed up to actually anybody that they have got that they are worried is vulnerable. They are getting that signposted through to Social Care Direct, so we will pick them up. Anybody I had a concern, and I've had lots of members and constituents come to me to say that they were not getting necessarily great responses when they were calling VICO to try and get signposted somewhere. So we've worked really hard to have them conversations with officers, whereas now every single person who has not contacted VICO will get a phone call from VICO. If that phone call is unsuccessful, they will get a home visit from VICO, and that they will be supporting them to be able to look at the other options for getting a service, because I absolutely agree. It's not a great situation. It didn't need to be handled like this, and all it's done is add further confusion, particularly because people were told they're March and then they're getting letters in January to say we're coming to disconnect, or you're coming home to a note that says your alarm has been disconnected, which is worrying. We are doing everything we can to make sure that there are no gaps in that separation, so people that do want it, they get it, and all we can do is I keep telling every single member, if you've got anything, any examples where that's not working, let me know so we can pick it up in the meetings. They're happening every week, because we don't want people to fall through the gaps. And there are people that will never have been assessed by adult social care that will need assessing, and it's how we capture them. And as both organisations, we have a responsibility to make sure that those people are looked after. So we are, through them conversations, VICO are getting permission to data share, because that's also another difficulty we've got at the moment. These are not people that are known to us necessarily through services, so there has to be data sharing agreements so that we can actually contact these people and say, do you need an assessment? So VICO are in the process of getting them for people that they identify so that they can fetch them to these meetings, they can discuss the risk and actually how can that approach be done. What we have at assurances is that nobody will be left, nobody that needs an alarm will be left without an alarm. If their alarm is disconnected, they will be provided with a temporary measure until that system can be put in place.
Councillor Rhodes, we've got 1 minute.
Thank you for the 1 minute. I'll be brief. Just to inform Council, and I'm sure Councillor Collins, as Chair of the Adult Social Care, will know that the strategy has already been through my committee, which is the Adults and Social Care, and comments were made on that strategy as necessary. It's gone through Cabinet, but can I assure everybody today, including Councillor, that that will be up to and it will be monitored during its progress from now on. So there will be involvement on behalf of the Council through my scrutiny committee. Can I also refer to the statement that's been set out today by the Chair of VICO, where I mentioned, well, not personally by name, but as the Chair of that Adult Social Care Committee, he has been in touch via email. Our diaries didn't actually commit dates together, but it's still out there if needed. And it might be interesting to see how things move on before that meeting is met with the Chair. Can I just add as well and comment to the statement about CareLink in the minutes today? And I say this with reference to all those out there who aren't on a website, aren't on emails, aren't on IT. It refers everybody to go to a web page.
What's your point of order, please? She's finished. Yes. We've run out of time, so we will move on to the next one. Thank you. Next is the portfolio holder for children and young people. Councillor Isherwood, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Sorry.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. In introducing my report, I'd like to first of all mention the new SEND unit at Moorthorpe Primary School. Just another example of how we're moving forward to provide this sort of specialist support for our children out there. I would also like to mention that we'll actually be having a members' development session at one of the last one, the Street House Resource Centre, possibly in February, and I would urge members to come along to that because it will give them an indication of the work that we are doing within the SEND provisions. I'd also like to thank everyone who attended the graduated approach launch. This sets out, as it says in the report, our schools and early years settings can identify and support children with additional needs at the earliest stage. And moving on from there, we had a visit from the Minister, Georgia Gould, OBE MP, Minister of State for Schools, who came to a development day that we had organised to demonstrate the work that Wakefield had been doing, leading the Send Change Partnership Programme. And it gave us the opportunity to show the innovative practices that we've been introducing. And finally, I need to congratulate, because we now have the result of the infant feeding competition, the award. We actually won the Breastfeeding Friendly Employer Award. And we also got the Breastfeeding in Adversity Award. So I have to congratulate everybody who was involved in that. I think it's absolutely amazing, particularly when we're actually discussing this in a motion later on. And I'll also like to thank Lisa Riding for all the wonderful work she does, which resulted in her being awarded the British Empire Medal, the BEM. She does amazing work for the council and for the children that she works with. And with that, Madam Mayor, I move my report. Thank you.
Are there any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Ahmed.
Item 37, can we just outline what the SEND outcomes are for SATs and also for GCSEs in the Wakefield district compared to those of non-SEND backgrounds? It's quite a simple question. What are the SEND outcomes in the Wakefield district on the national published SAT scores and also the GCSEs compared to non-SEND pupils?
I said I'll send the information out when I receive it to all members.
Councillor Antcliffe.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Sherwood, for that report. I'd just like to touch on the youth zone. I was really pleased to visit the youth zone over in Barnsley ahead of its official opening. The example of the space and the facilities and the activities that I saw will be a great addition to the offer that we provide children and young people in the Wakefield district, and I'm really excited for it to come to Wakefield.
Councillor Ferguson.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the Children's Services for the work that's happening at the hut, please. It's the huts in my ward, and it's making the services that are on offer there now for the whole community, and lots of them free, are making a massive difference in our ward in terms of all the measures that we want to use, antisocial behaviour, deprivation, everything. So thank you so much.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. In a recent meeting, Councillor Isherwood stood up and lambasted me on the second motion I put in terms of the Dolly Parton Imagination Library, saying that the council was complying with the motion, but afterwards Councillor Isherwood and I attended a meeting with the service director, and it was quite clear they didn't want to expand the scheme universally into all the wards listed, which you incidentally voted for. So I wonder if the cabinet member would like to apologise for her outburst in that meeting to me, because I think it was uncalled for, and obviously I was onto something when I put the second motion in.
Sherwood.
I don't know what I'm apologising for. I don't feel that I need to apologise for what I said there. We did have the meeting afterwards, and actually it does fall into Councillor Collins's portfolio So if you've got a problem with it, I'm quite happy to discuss it with you further. But I don't see that I have anything to apologise for at all.
If there's no more comments or questions, we'll move on. Thank you, Councillor Isherwood. We shall now move on to the portfolio holder for communities. Councillor Wilton, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. It's been a busy couple of months over the Christmas period. Just before I move on to what's actually in the report, I just wanted to let members know that last Wednesday, myself and the Corporate Director for Adults and Health went to Queen's House to visit the Housing Needs Service. What a fantastic team who work incredibly hard in really difficult circumstances there. We met every team and they gave us a good insight into how their area works. We were in there for 5 hours asking questions, a lot of things that we can take away, but it was a really productive visit. If we just a couple of things from the report. Colleagues will know that we, back in October, passed the PSPO for Wakefield City Centre through Cabinet. That was introduced in December, and we're already seeing results coming through from that, and it's been seen as an incentive to stop individuals causing criminality in the city centre. We're really excited in the work we've done around our Ask for Angela scheme. We've done some test purchasing operations working with West Yorkshire Police's licensing team, actually seeing how it works and seeing how businesses react. And it was a really positive scheme, which I haven't got the numbers in front of me, but I do want to circulate them to colleagues. And I'm speaking to the BBC about this tomorrow because they're so keen to hear about how well that's worked. Finally, I will just mention our SafePoint ambulance that hopefully some of you saw on your way into the chamber today. I wanted it to be there so you could all get a chance to have a look around it if you wanted to. I will notice on page 43 there is the picture of me sat driving it. I just want to put on record, I know my age has already been mentioned today, but I just want to put on record that I have got a driving test booked for very soon. Thank you.
Are there any questions or brief comments? Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Page 44, tackling antisocial behaviour. 75 arrests took place in November. How many of them actually banned from the city centre?
I am happy to speak to the police to try and get you that information.
Can we make sure we ban them all, please?
Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, it's still an offence to be inside a vehicle when you haven't got a driving licence on and you don't have an adult accompanying you that's over 21 and been passed for 3 years and without learner plates on the vehicle. So, yeah, don't take any more pictures of you behind the wheel of a car when you haven't got those things in place. PSPO. You keep recycling this in your report, PSPO. It's not a new thing. You've just extended it. Why do you keep writing about it again and again and again? Have you got nothing else to write about? Thank you.
We've introduced 2. Well, we've expanded 2. It's making a difference. I'd like to shout about the good things as councillors. I know we like to, on that side of the chamber, just knock everything back. But when something works, I'm not going to apologise for shouting about it.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. Just on the PSPO, I had a constituent who raised a few concerns with me because it's been expanded on a similar basis in other local authority areas, and what we've seen in Leeds is the PSPO being used to basically shut down political campaigning, regardless of who's doing the campaigning. I'm not interested. Everybody's got a right to do that. So can you basically clarify whether this PSPO policy will be used in that manner within this district on our high streets? And I just want to touch on, because we talk about community safety a lot and things like that, and obviously we raised concerns over the Christmas period about the outsourcing of the domestic abuse service, which today I don't think councillors are really fully aware of what's actually happening. And it's my firm view that the decision taken in Cabinet in December 2024 bears no resemblance to what's happening to that service today. The original report mentioned basically commissioning additional provision to enhance the service, whereas from what the unions are saying, these workers set to be tupied over to a charity, which in my book is outsourcing. So I'm just wondering when councillors would be able to have a full update on what's happening on that scheme, because I think it is a little bit scandalous.
Thank you, Councillor Williamson. I am not aware of the PSPO to be used to stop political campaigning. I'll obviously speak to the police about that straight after this meeting, just to ensure that doesn't happen, because I suspect there's going to be quite a few parties campaigning up to May. In regard to the domestic abuse service, I did respond to you before the Christmas period. Myself, Councillor Isherwood, and I know other colleagues have now met with Cranston and can see the impact they're going to have. They are going to come in and do things that we throw our hands up and say we can't do, and that's what it's all about. It's interesting that I understand that members will want to know a bit more, and I completely appreciate that. I'm currently working with the Member Development Officer to get in a briefing so that everyone can have a clear understanding of what it's going to mean if they need the support from Cranston for their residents. So I'm absolutely working to get that in the diary as soon as possible. Should have it in the next week or so.
Councillor Appleyard.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Wilton, for your report, and I really welcome the different points that we have in terms of safe space and the ask for Angela. I think it speaks to the deputation that you had earlier on, that this council really takes, action in terms of supporting women and making our spaces safe for everybody, obviously, but obviously it prioritises, or not prioritises, it affects kind of women as well. And just to say that I think that the Ask for Angela and the work that they do when they go and do the test cases is fantastic, not just for the pubs that they go to. I know one of the local pubs in Pontefract spoke to me that even though they might not have had the test purchased, they still kind of, they benefit from the feedback as well. So I just think great work, and thank you very much.
Councillor Speak.
Hi, I'm just checking in on previous conversations from building a relationship with us in Nottingham and Ferry Bridge. We did arrange a meeting, obviously, which you couldn't attend in the end. We did have a meeting, but I don't feel like anything's progressed from there. I have managed to get a youth club back up and running. I know you've got something coming to Wakefield, but there is other parts of the district to consider. Not funded. Basically, I'm running it on nothing right now to keep the kids somewhere to go with over 100 people attending again. I can't sustain that, but I'm trying to keep it going so they've got somewhere to go. I just wanted, from your perspective and what conversations you might have had, because obviously I'm not getting fed it back, where you're at with our relationship and what you're going to do to help us out in the other parts of the district.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Speak, and I do apologise for not being able to attend that meeting, but I am more than happy to come out and see you again after this if that's something you'd like. I do ask, though, following the officers that came to see you, progress, and I know we've moved, I think we agreed some funding for yesterday at the Community Grants Panel for some work that you needed on the building. That went through the Community Grants Panel yesterday. I can update you on that either at the break or afterwards, but I'm more than happy to pick this up again and come out and see you to try and move some things on again.
Councillor Keith.
Sorry, Chair, I thought Councillor Fraser had his hand up ages ago. I was just picking up on your PSPO thing, that you're cleaning up the city centres, but it's something that I've raised with you as well. That what we need to do with this is that whilst it's very nice to clean up Wakefield city centre, but if you're dirty in the suburbs, which is a twopenny bus ride around, which is what's happening in Outwood, because you're moving people on from the city centre down the road, that isn't really what it's about. If it needs more police officers, we need to say so that everybody gets the fair share of the police service. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Keith. I think it's obviously we're all pleased when we go out and we see an officer on the street, and that's what it's all about, is people feeling safe in their communities. I am constantly speaking to the police to ensure that even though we have that target and focus on our city and town centres, that we're not leaving behind those areas that sometimes feel like it. So I guarantee you've got my full support, because I know it myself sometimes from my area, it doesn't always get the police, and it should. So you've got my back there, that I will always be lobbying for that.
Councillor Isherwood.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Daniel, I just want to thank you for the continued support for the bed poverty, addressing bed poverty for children. It's so important. Every child deserves to have a bed, and I see that the VCSE are working so hard as well to make sure that every child has that in the life. Thank you.
Just to come in there, just again to say a huge thank you to the work we do with Zarac, but also to the Community Foundation and Prosper for working in collaboration with us on this. It is a really positive scheme. We don't want to see young people without beds, and anything we can do in that, it makes a real difference.
Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yeah, I'd like to welcome the Warm Spaces initiatives, and also the quantification of that within this report. I think that's the first time I've really noticed the numbers there, and obviously 12 people referred to the Step Up programme. You can see the impact them Warm Spaces are having to individuals. I think I asked the question in previous council, Madam Mayor, is that can I have some assurance that these warm spaces are not going anywhere within the district, and how long, given the codes that we've had at the moment, how long are these warm spaces running for? Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Fraser. It's really important that people know that they are there and can use them when they do. This is funded through the Residents First group, and we fund them for over the winter period. There's no plans to take that away up till March time, when we'll end it after February. But it is important that we start thinking about the future of this. What does it look like? Because we can never guarantee that funding will be there. Obviously, it's something I'm really passionate about and want to carry on. But yeah, hopefully next year we'll be doing the same and expanding it if we can.
Councillor Ancliffe.
Just like to thank Councillor Wilton and his team for their work on the Safe Point, which is keeping residents safe on a night out. And I'd like to further thank him for meeting with me and confirming that a Safe Point is being secured for Pontefract Town Centre, which we all know is the best night out in the district.
Thank you, Councillor Ancliffe. Yes, we're doing all we absolutely can to get another safe point for Pontefract, because we know the importance of the Pontefract nighttime economy, and obviously my deputy, being a Pontefract councillor, doesn't let me forget it. So yes, absolutely.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yesterday was the Holocaust Memorial Day. I just want to know how this community commemorate this date. That's my first question. The second one is about a resident called me yesterday to say that the Well Women charity organization, which has operated in the district for 40 years, is actually at the brink of collapse. And a lot of appointments have been cancelled, and some councillors is going to lose jobs. And I just wonder whether the council is aware of the situation and what the council can do, because I understand in the past the council has provided grant for the charity. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Councillor Harvey. I know, and it's important that we remember the Holocaust Memorial, and I know that the town hall was lit up in the colours, and it's important that any communities, I know that members across the chamber commemorated that day, and it's important they do that in their communities. I'll be completely frank with you, Councillor Harvey, I wasn't aware about the situation with the Well Women's Centre, because we do work very closely with them, but I will pick that up as soon as I'm out of this room to ensure we can do what we can, because it's such a vital service to people. I'll keep you informed on that.
If there's no more questions, thank you, Councillor Wilton. The next report is the portfolio holder for culture, leisure and sport. Councillor Appleyard, would you please introduce your report to council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, so moving my report, I'd like first of all to kind of give thanks to the volunteers. You'll see in my report, obviously at Pontefract Castle, volunteers have been working hard on the garden there. We all know right across the district, in every ward, just how important volunteers are. Hopefully, again, you'll see from this report how it demonstrates how this arts, culture, leisure sport, this department supports residents' health and well-being, whether it's through diet, activity, lowering sugar intake, all really welcome stuff. As you'll see as well, we've got an exciting year ahead. It is the National Year of Reading. We all know how important reading is for life skills, for accessing absolutely every element of the world around us. Keep on your emails. There'll be lots of updates throughout the year of all the different activities that are going on in local libraries and in all the wards. I would like to welcome the earlier comments about Rhubarb Festival. Absolutely, we've got that fantastic kind of weekend festival coming up in February, you know, bringing tens of thousands of visitors to the high street, supporting local businesses, driving up the visitor economy, and obviously a fantastic opportunity for us to celebrate the district's heritage. So I hope to see you all there, and with that I remove my report.
Are there any questions or brief comments on the portfolio holders report? Councillor Speak.
Hi, just a couple of points. In the report, we actually do have a light switch on as well in Nottingham. It's never mentioned. I feel like a broken record, but we do exist not only in Ferrybridge's award in this district, even though it's not Labour councillors. Number two, also on the lights, we got tree lights one day. That's it. They were reported, they didn't work for the rest of the season, and they weren't repaired either, or turned on, and that's the second year on the trot. The next one is the festive motivation. I don't know if you're just not aware or if it's just again been left out, but we do run them sessions at Ferrybridge as well. The Aspire run, they were festively done, but again, we're not in the listing. Like Ferrybridge and not only is our ward, we do deliver services, and I'm not sure if you just don't know about them or whether you're not recognising them. I'm just like, feel like I keep battering my head against a brick wall. Okay.
With regards to the light up in Nottingham, it isn't this department that arranges that. The only ones that Arts, Culture, Leisure develop are that put on are the Wakefield ones, the Pontefract ones, the Ossett ones, and Castleford. So it's not.
Can we stop
Who's
shouting,
speaking to me,
please?
sorry? Shall I answer her or listen to you? Councillor Speak, I comment on the events that are run by the department in Arts, Culture, Leisure. Right, okay.
Can we let Councillor Appleyard just answer, please, out a matter of courtesy? Thank you.
And Councillor Speak, I would welcome conversations prior to, you'd have to wait till full council to come and ask that question, given that Christmas obviously was a long time ago. If you do have those queries, by all means come to me any other time. The same point really for tree lights, that doesn't come under this portfolio. And with regards to festive motivation, we couldn't list every one that's gone. I apologise to you, we'll bear it in mind and we'll make sure that we feature something in Nottingham Ferrybridge in the next report.
Councillor Mel Jones.
Thank you for your report, Councillor Appleyard. I'm really glad to see that you've recognised the volunteers at Pontefract. I spoke to the lady in the photograph, and not only does she tend to those gardens, but she takes cuttings and she sells them very, very reasonably to make money to keep the update of the castle. So I would urge all members to go to the castle, speak to this wonderful lady and buy some seedlings from her.
Thank you.
Councillor Shah.
Yeah, it's very well documented and known that the Cabinet members do not write their own reports, so they are written for them. We know this, okay? However, if I was a portfolio holder, I would be proofreading what the officers choose to put out and would be absolutely...
Is that a question, please?
Yes.
Move to the question, please.
When we talk about Light Up 25, we're not getting into the semantics of who deals with what and who's in charge of what. Like, you put it in your report, answer the question on your report. That's it. You don't get to pick and choose what you answer and what you don't. And if there's other places in the district, they should be recognised. I know that Councillor Appleyard has just apologised. However, the sincerity and the genuineness behind it was just completely false. You need to be clearer in your reports. Thank you.
Councillor Keith.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Can I just say very well done with this swap thing, this sip water and avoid pop success, not only from a point of view of tackling obesity in children, but also from the point of view, as we know, when we discuss it on the Overview and Scrutiny Committee for Health, regarding teeth and the situation particularly affecting children with tooth decay. So I think we should do this. But is there any means? I mean, this is the first time I've come across it reading your report. So it's great news and it's a great thing. Is there any way we could amplify that and promote it more and make it more aware to people out there? Thank you, Chair.
I'll absolutely take that on board and feed that back. I think it's a really valid point. You're absolutely in terms of promotion, and you're absolutely right. Obviously, in terms of like the physical health and things, but dental care is such an important thing. We know kind of what goes on in schools to kind of help that as well. But with regards to your query, we'll look into that.
Councillor Carring.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Hannah, I just wanted to say thank you for all the wellbeing events that you're putting on across the district. It's really, really good to see that, and thank you for inviting me on the radio with yourself to speak about that and the mental health point of view. It was really, really kind of you, and we've got a lot of good feedback from it. Thank you.
Thank you for coming. Sorry, I can't see. I'll look this way, but obviously I'm directing at you. I think thanks goes back to you as well, because I know how important the mental health, being mental health champion, how important that is to you. The charter, having that opportunity to raise the profile of that. So thanks back to you.
Councillor Shah. Councillor Ahmed.
Agenda page 50, the £5 million decarbonisation scheme, what is the intended savings that council is attempting to make with this? And secondly, where is the money coming from to pay for the £5 million? Is it coming from the council's already £300 million debt that it owes, or is this money coming directly from central government?
Thank you, Councillor Ahmed. To the second question, first of all, it is absolutely funded by central government. There was some match funding from council, but majority from the government. In terms of saving, it's obviously going to help save with energy costs, as well as obviously playing a really important role in supporting the environment. I don't have those figures. I can get the approximation. Obviously, it will be an approximation. I will send that to you.
Thank you for your report, Councillor Appleyard. The next report is from the portfolio holder for Environment and Civic Services. Councillor Hare, would you please introduce your report to Council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and Happy New Year, everybody.
Oh, I forgot we're there, yeah.
We're the first to say it, I think, is happy. When writing this report, with my officer, you'll see on the you'll see I've done it because it's a technical issue, because it were all right until I messed around with it on Word and sent it to print. Because on page 52 and 53 of your agendas, you'll see all the pictures are now blocking the text, so we did get some printed off for you if you want to pick them up. But just to highlight some parts of my report, and looking back into 2025, there have been over 30 upgrades to parks across Wakefield District, and there's a lot more to come in 2026. But in my report, there is some great work that's been done collaboratively with councillors, friends groups, officers and contractors. That includes the Ferry Bridge play area, which is open last week, which provides a welcoming space designed to inspire young children and challenge older ones. Also looking forward, the council looking forward to visiting Kettlethorpe when the new play area there is completed in the coming weeks. One of the biggest successes again, which has happened for a few years now, is that towards the end of last year, 4,000 free trees were given out to residents, schools and community groups, and our climate team worked alongside a local Woodland Trust volunteer to ensure these were accessible to communities across the district, and it was really successful, and we're hoping for more free tree giveaways this year in the spring and in the autumn again. One of the things I would like to highlight as well, we are redefining and investing in the park strategy. We want to see smaller improvements to parks, whether it's seating, which has happened, new notice boards, fencing, things like that, but also some of the bigger projects as well. And I think the team are doing an absolute fantastic job of really prioritising these and getting them done. I've been out again to various wards to meet with councillors, and that invite is extended again to see which parks you would like to see improvements to. And then finally, Madam Mayor, I was ill at the last council meeting, and around the time when the community engagement took place at Wakefield, at South Kirby's recycling centre, and there was an event on there. Standout example was the Wakefield Recycles Christmas, it was called, event hosted by our waste partner Biffa, which welcomed 160 local people and included a quiet session for SEND children. I heard that it was a great success. Welcome comments from members that visited there. But I just want to finalise by talking really about how these projects that we've been a part of, we've been working with local councillors, with volunteers and the wider community, how that involvement is helping us build greener, healthier and more welcoming places across Wakefield District. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Are there any questions or brief comments on the report? Councillor Hayes.
It was a pleasure to see you last Wednesday at the opening of Ferrybridge Park, and it is a vital amenity for families across Ferrybridge and Nottingley residents. The park is a result of years of sustained campaigning by myself and Councillor Speak, working alongside residents to make the case to improve the children's facilities. However, since the opening, a number of residents have contacted us expressing confusion and concern about the council official press release published in your district. Local residents are well aware that myself and Councillor Speaks have long championed this project, and it was through our efforts that the 96,000 of Section 106 money funded this and secured covering the majority of the cost. Residents noted that the press release only featured a photograph of Councillor Airy at the park and without any reference to the local ward councillors. I am happy to see that you did thank us within your report in Chambers, but that wasn't in the press release. Transparency matters, particularly when you're communicating with residents about projects and how and who delivered them and how the work was secured. At best, the press release fails to give full and accurate picture, and at worst, it risks misleading residents over the campaign of the park. We are committed to working with Cabinet members positively across Nottingham and Ferrybridge, and it is only right that the press receive and acknowledge local efforts from the councillors, rather than allowing the council to take the credit. With this in mind, can the Cabinet member confirm what guidance governs the content and approval of the council press release? Additionally, in light of the article, does the Cabinet member believe that the guidance was met?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Took a few notes there. Yeah, and it was great to be there last Wednesday. And I think, just to put it into perspective, you've done a fantastic job down there. You've done a fantastic work with council officers and with residents, working collaboratively with them. But I think the thing is with it, it's Section 106 money, it is council money. It is Wakefield Council delivering for the residents. I think residents really do care that the new park exists, that it's high quality and it's being looked after. Not which councillor was standing closest to the camera. I think that is the point. The hard work that we all do, spending hours in meetings and talking to everyone in this chamber about their parks and their priorities. I think as a cabinet member, we've got a responsibility for the strategy delivery and accountable. You hold us to account every month. I wish you'd just, press release went out, Thursday morning? Pick up the phone, email me. You don't have to wait to come here today to grandstand about it. Like, I want to work with you. And I don't understand what you don't get about that. I think, finally, Madam Mayor, look, we're representing the council's strategy. We want to improve parks, and really this isn't about personalities, it's about what matters to residents, and it isn't about whose picture is on a press release or social media, whatever.
Councillor Keith.
Yeah, it's coming on from that, Madam Mayor. Thank you for putting me on. But it's saying what you've just said, George. It's not about the press release. It's not about the photos in the press. It's about doing things in your community. I'd just like to say some thank you, though, to the people that you've given a notice to there. The Parks and Green Spaces and Street Scene people and the community liaison officers that make this happen, makes us be able to direct the money that we've been given to produce things in our community. Particularly, there's a couple of things there in the pictures that you've chosen in Ward 21, and particularly about the creative mini parks. And I'm sorry, Jake, I'm going to give a heads up and a bit of a thank you to Vico Holmes. So it's going against what your jaundiced view of them, but working with them, we're building that mini park in Bramley Crescent, which we hope to expand out to local schools so that they can create urban nature projects and lessons to go and learn. So it's putting things and providing things in our community. So it's encouraging local groups as well, like the Wrens, to come along to do the maintenance that sometimes don't get done in these things, to keep them to a high standard. So just all I'm saying is thank you to all those people that's been involved, and looking forward to working with those people in the future. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Councillor Keith. I think the team is absolutely amazing, but we all work hand in hand with it. Ward members do, the volunteers do, and the team do. And it's great that improvements are being met for the residents, and that is all I care about.
Councillor Farmer.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Seeing as you've mentioned parks, I'll bring it up again. Spring Mill Park, George. I've been bashing my head for 7 or 8 years about something being done in Spring Mill Park. I've approached Jack. I must be wasting my time. So, because you've mentioned parks, I'm coming to you. When are you going to do something with Spring Mill Park? Because it's absolutely ridiculous. I've been shafted and pushed around with meetings with leaders, with cabinet members. I just feel like I'm completely wasting my time. And just other point, George, I've no intention of being on a photograph with you, so you can have one yourself. Thank you, Madam Mayor. I don't want to embarrass you.
No, and you definitely would embarrass me. Just on that, funding has been agreed for Spring Mill Park allotments as well, and you will receive an email on Monday when it's all finalised.
Councillor Shah.
I think when we talk about who's closest to the camera, there could have been other choices that could have been made. Like Councillor Eyre was aware that Councillor Speak and Councillor Hayes did the work for that shot in the park. He was aware that photos were taken at the same time, but their pictures were never used, and his pictures were. So I think it's quite disingenuous to basically say, oh, we shouldn't be bothered about who's closest to the camera. The press release, and I've said this from day one, and I'll continue to say it, the comms department in this council is a mouthpiece, is a political party broadcast for the Labour councillors of this council. It doesn't work for any of the rest of us. If any of our faces are on anything, we are immediately cut out. And unfortunately, that is the culture that's bred because we've had a Labour administration here for such a long time. And we've got people within this council that think that Labour is synonymous with the council. When that changes next year, and it is going to change, I think a lot of people are going to get a massive shock in this council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Sharp. I can confirm that the council comms team is not a mouthpiece for the Labour administration here today. But what the Labour administration does do is deliver on parks improvements to green spaces. And that's what we do day in, day out.
Councillor Gert.
I was going to keep my gob shut on this, but after what you said, George, I'm not going to. And this will come a bit of a shock to my ward colleagues, because it's no secret that we have had a big fallout, and I don't particularly like them. But that's not the point. The Section 106 money, we was told this has been going on a lot of years, long before Councillor Speak was even elected. And the Section 106 money, we was told we didn't have none. And the only reason that money was uncovered to pay for Ferrybridge Park was down to the persistence of Councillor Hayes. And that should be acknowledged. It needs to be acknowledged. This project would not have happened if she hadn't have kept pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. This is over a number of years. And yes, Councillor Speak did come in after she got elected and help get this through. And the reason I wasn't there, as you'll know, because I put it in an email to you, was I didn't feel that I'd done anything to contribute to it, and I shouldn't have been there to take photographs and take credit for work that I haven't done. And I think they've got every right to be a little bit upset that they weren't included in the photos in the press release. And that is something you people need to take back. You say you want to work with local elected members, then work with them. No disrespect to you, George, but you weren't even involved when this first started. You probably weren't even elected, yeah? But you definitely weren't in the position that you were. Yet that press release goes out to everybody, and it is saying that you made it happen. Well, you didn't make it happen. Councillor Hayes made it happen. And that should be, if you say you're going to work with members, then that's what you should do. One photograph of you all stood together and saying thank you. I've no skin in this game because I'm not standing for re-election. So I don't care. I don't care if they get voted in or not. But at least acknowledge in the press release, whether it's our ward or anybody else's ward, whether it's a Labour member. Because if they'd have been Labour, let's be straight about it, if they'd have been Labour, they'd have been stood in you in the by the photograph.
What's your point of order, Councillor Mel Jones?
So, let's just...
Councillor Gertz.
At the recent West End Park, the only photograph that was taken was of Councillor Eyre. Myself and Laura was there, so it isn't just Labour.
That's not a point of order,
well, it's incorrect
Jones.
information.
Would you like to finish, Councillor Gert? No. Right, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Gert, for your words. I have acknowledged it. I think what Mel's point of order, what she was trying to say, is that Hemsworth had just opened a few weeks since, and they weren't on the pictures. So this, is it Labour, is it not? No, it was me on the picture there, because I'm representing the council in that corporate responsibility that we hold. And that is why we're talking about the Wakefield plan, the strategy to improve parks. And again, back to the point, this is about people and residents rightfully upset, but I have acknowledged them as much as I can. I think they've done a fantastic job. Probably was elected when this project started. If you want me to stop all work and meeting with officers and spending hours about the Kellingley Park because you don't think I should be involved, you let me know and we'll tell your residents that. That is exactly what you said. And I'm sick of
no
this.
Shouting, no shouting. Let Councillor Mayor please finish his comments.
Yeah, I think I'll leave it with this, is that all I care about is making sure our parks are really high quality and really well put in there for residents. If that park went in Ferry Bridge and it were rubbish, I'd be stood here and it wouldn't be our fault, it'd be my fault. So let's work together, let's make Kellingley happen, let's get on with the job in hand.
Councillor Khan.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a question for George. Do we have any further updates to share on the future burial site once Sugar Lane is filled? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, so what's the
question was
time limit?
Just if there's any.
No, it's not commercially sensitive. It's still ongoing. There's still a lot of work in the pipeline to make it happen. As you'll know, Sugar Lane's approximately got 4 to 5 years left until it reaches capacity, so anticipated exhaustion there's around 2030. But the council, following cabinet approval, the council has actively been working on options for future burial provision. Any future proposals, including new cemeteries, are intended to serve the whole communities with enough flexibility, and I'm reading my notes because I thought I'd get a question about this, to meet different burial needs. And it is part of that long-term cemetery strategy, and I believe that we're nearing the end of that, and we will have something firm to update ward colleagues on and residents soon. Thank you.
Councillor Ahmed.
I think just to help Councillor Eyre out a little bit, I think you should have been there, and I think the question that Councillor Hayes has actually asked has not been answered, and that's the question is, in the policy of the council in issuing press releases, what are the standards, and has that standard been met when you issued that press release without the inclusion of the Liberal Democrat councillors or the other independent councillor within the contribution of that? And I know some people have a problem with this, but this also links to historic editing.
Can you wrap up now, please, because you've gone over 15.
So no, it includes the historic editing of opposition members in the recording of the council as well, which was investigated as well. So the end of the question was, how do you stop that? And I think you should have been there. And I genuinely think out of the cabinet portfolio holders, I think you are doing a good job. So I genuinely, the report's good. It looks like you've done it yourself. But that, you can tell by the editing. So, but we shouldn't, there. So
you don't have to answer that, Councillor.
The question is,
and I don't appreciate being shouted
in the
at
future.
Neither, thank you.
I'm just saying, I'm just helping you out in the future. That when them reports are done, maybe they could have been included, and that would have resolved the issue. Standing up's not going to stop me from speaking until I've finished.
It's off.
When you say that time is up, time is up.
Councillor Morley, would you please
Point of order, please, Madam Mayor.
And what's your point of order, Councillor?
Another member go. When you said 1 minute to nearly 4 minutes, Councillor Ahmed's speaking and he's been stopped. Well, we've taped it over here. Well, you want to start the clock because there's something wrong with it.
Moving on. We'll move on. Councillor Morley, would you please introduce your report to Council for planning and highways?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd like to mention, as I always do at this time of year, our fantastic gritting team. They've been really busy over the Christmas period. They didn't get much time off, unfortunately, when you see that there was out Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, Boxing Day, New Year's, even New Year's Day. We had such a cold snap, so didn't get much time to spend with their families, but they was out keeping the roads safe while we was tucking into our Christmas dinners and keeping safe. So I'd like to pay tribute to them and to the call centre staff and all of the staff associated with winter gritting. Just one other issue I'd like to raise, though, is the new conservation areas. They'll be going to Cabinet next month, fetching in new conservation areas in Falkirk and Castleford, and also extending the ones out to Ossett and Albury. I mean, that's a testament to the civic societies and the community groups in them areas that have pushed for these and worked with the council officers. So I'm really pleased to be taking that report. Seeing the way questions are going, we've only got an hour and 45 minutes. I will leave my report there, Madam Mayor, and quite happy to take any questions.
Are there any questions or comments on the report? Councillor Mel Jones.
Thank you, Matthew, for your report. I'm really pleased to see that the conservation area is being considered for Falkirk Hodroyd. It's a medieval village, and the Grade 1 listed St Peter's Church is an important part of that little village. And I'd just like to express thanks to you for considering it, but thanks to the volunteers that have worked tirelessly to get this on the agenda. So thank you.
Councillor Aslam.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. There's been a review, or there is a review happening in regards to road safety around the schools. I understand, Councillor Morley. I was elected some 13 months ago with one point about road safety, and we've been actively working quite hard on that in Featherstone and Charleston. Just wondering whether you'd be prepared to meet with myself, Councillor Vickers and Councillor Maureen Tennant-King to discuss that review pertaining particularly to our ward, specifically about a strategically important crossing that would connect most of the Purston area as a safe route to the Purston infant schools particularly. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Scott. Yes, we have done a review of all our schools across the district to see what safety precautions we could put in there, whether it be 20-mile-an-hour zones, whether it be speed reductions, zebra crossings, that sort of thing. So I'm more than happy to meet with yourselves to discuss any particular schools in your area, and I'll set that up in the next couple of weeks, or when you come back from Morocco.
Councillor Keith.
Just to amplify what you said about the people working on gritting of the roads, I know we've not had as cold a season as we usually have up to now, but we've had a lot of problems with water runoff as well, and making roads, and also affecting the repairs, Matthew, which we need to get done before Christmas. I'm coming on to the security of local biodiversity improvements with the West Yorkshire Combined Authority. There is some rumours about a electric bus charging depot going to be going in near our wards, or in my ward, and bordering on yours. So it's the concern that I have about the charging of large lithium-ion batteries and making sure that it's secure from a point of view from the Fire and Rescue Authority, which I serve on. So I'd look to us looking into that particularly, making sure that it's 100% safe for local residents. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, the Combine Authority regarding franchising are looking to acquire Newton Bar. Obviously, it is designated for housing at the moment, but we are looking to maybe put the bus depot on there that is badly needed in the district. Obviously, we want it as close to the bus station as possible. That site has come forward. It will be for, as you say, battery-powered, electric-powered buses. It is out of consultation at the moment. I'm quite happy to ask the Combined Authority to meet with yourself and your colleagues to discuss that and concerns that you have there, to raise that with them as we move forward on this project.
Councillor Salim.
Yes, just a quick question for Matthew. I've had a lot of concerns from residents regarding people parking on pavement and grass verges, and there's people with mobility scooters and wheelchairs who are struggling to get past due to obstruction, and I get a different response from the council, different from the police, and I just want to know that if we're doing any more joint up work with the police to see what we can do about this, because it is impacting residents who have got disabilities. Thank you.
Just, you've got it from me from here, obstruction is a policing issue. We can't enforce obstruction, we can only enforce traffic regulation orders as a council. We do have action days with the police and with our civic patrollers. If there's any particular locations, I'm quite happy to take them back and set some of them days of action for you.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Matthew, we have observed that up and down the district there are so many road networks need repair, and I just want to know how much does this council pay for structural road repair per square metre, and how much does the council pay for surface dressing?
It varies. It will vary on what sort of treatment we're doing. Is it preventative? Is it patching work? Is it micro-asphalt? Is it complete resurfacing? It varies on the different type of use you'll use, Samantha. As a council, we are looking to invest more money in our highways. That's a conversation we're already having. To do that over the next 3 years, put additional more monies into that. We also are getting a better settlement from the Department of Transport that we'll get through the Combined Authority. That will be increasing as well. So it depends what type of treatment we're going to do on there, basically. So I don't have an exact answer for you. You may want to furnish with me with what you're actually asking, what sort of treatment.
Councillor Ahmed.
Councillor Morley, I think, you know, in terms of portfolio, I think it's one of the tougher portfolios because you can't keep everyone happy. But at the end of page 56, I think the council every year, I think so far, has done a really good job on the gritting teams that have gone out there. I think we have to acknowledge that. But, and it's not a double-edged or something like that, but how do local councillors know when the update of roads, new roads being built, which are on gritting routes? So how do we know which roads are now included, or has there been a change? Just so that, but and that's not a criticism or anything. Just we know that new roads are coming up, etc. And I think the council staff, I know it's not their main job, but they do a really good job every year since I've been a councillor, and I've always said that. And I think it's important, while we're criticising you for the potholes and other things, and TROs and other items, that we acknowledge the work that they've done, but also how we can raise that awareness of which roads are done. And so when people ask us, we can easily respond to them quite quickly.
Thank you, Nadeem, and thank you the way you put the question. You are right. We do review the road network and the gritting routes quite regularly. In fact, we did the last review last winter for this year. If you go to the council's webpage, Wakefield Winter, there is a map on there that shows the entire district's gritting routes that's on there. So I urge everybody to go to that. That's where you'll find the gritting routes. We always hear it time and time again. People put it on social media. I've never seen a gritter go past my house. Well, if you're not on a gritting route, you won't see a gritter. It is the primary routes that we use across the district, bus routes, etc. that we use on there. So thank you for highlighting that, and please designate everybody to the council's webpage where the gritting routes are.
Thank you, Councillor Morley, for your report. The final Cabinet Member report is that of the portfolio holder for resources. Councillor Pickersgill, can you please introduce your report to...
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I will be brief. I think people are sort of hoping to a big comfort break. The nature of the resources portfolio is it does jump around a little bit. The things I'd highlight from my report, first of all, critically, the freedom to speak up guardian, which is an important safeguard that we're introducing given recent events around it. The post holder is now in place and is introducing themselves to various departments, making sure the correct policy framework, etc. is in place, and it will go live at the start of March. The budget consultation is obviously live. The 100% council tax discount for terminally ill people will hopefully pass its final hurdle today and will go live on 1st of April. One of the things you'll see several times in the report is about promoting apprenticeships. We think it's really important that we do that as a council, not just internally, but also through our procurement activity, which is one of the things that's been highlighted there. One of the things that I suspect is at the back of quite a lot of people's mind are the elections coming up in May. There is election preparations sort of been taking place in the background, and the pre-nomination briefings. I think the dates are known and starting shortly. The other thing, just in terms of future generations, not looking at colleagues on my left, but future generations in politics, we actually have the UK Youth Parliament elections, which I think are taking place probably over the next month or so, and the results will be known on the 25th of February. An event that I'm planning to go and sort of support. And the final thing on the report is there is actually a link in the report to the draft meeting dates for the next municipal year. Thank you.
Are there any questions or comments on the report? Councillor Shah.
Yeah, thanks for your report, David. I am a bit confused. So we've already decided what the budget is. We've already decided we're going to raise council tax. You were talking about in cabinet. So what exactly are you asking the public to help you with? Because I don't see how residents' views at this point, when you're already putting out there through several communications that we need to make this cut, this saving, redo this, add this, up this. I don't understand. So what are we actually asking the public for?
Well, the budget is not decided. The process is that a draft budget is prepared, it goes to cabinet, it's then publicised in terms so people can have a sort of a comment on it. It has to be a degree of approximation. If we sort of said, you know, we're thinking of spending, if it was down to like 2 or 3 lines, it would be silly. There's a draft budget that goes out, people can pass comment on it. If they feel that that we think we should be spending more money on something, or that we think we're spending too much money on something, there's an opportunity for comment. There's an opportunity for you guys as opposition members to put comment and have a... The budget is decided when we actually have the Budget Council, which is the 4th of March. I better make sure I turn up for the right day. But at the start of it's only when we get to that stage that it's actually decided. There is a consultation process so people can put comments in.
Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I welcome the appointment of the Freedom Speak Up Guardian into Wakefield Council. I think that's the right thing to do. Obviously coming secondary from the Hazel Garth improvement plan. But can I have insurances in full council, Madam Mayor, that members of staff will know who this person is and that the public will be made aware who this person is with relevant contact details?
Certainly in terms, I think it'd be known to staff who the person is. That's not an issue. I don't know about the public component. I'd have to get back to you on that one, because it's mainly an issue so that staff have someone to go to, so that they don't. I think there's perhaps a view that people thought that they couldn't talk to their managers, senior management team in that sort of situation, and it's a route for people around that. So as I said, the launch is just to make sure that everybody sort of understands what the role is and what it isn't before it's live.
Councillor Farmer.
Just a quick one, thank you, Madam Mayor. It's the freedom to speak up again. Is that not the whistleblowing policy? Thank you, Madam.
It relates to that sort of thing. People have got concerns and they feel they're not being listened to. I think in the health service you probably would describe it as a whistleblowing policy around it. I think it's... It's a route, yeah, it's a route for people kind of... I think there are nuances of difference, but it's broadly the same role. There's bits of... There are some different... I think what we will be doing, I think, is when we actually... when the person's completely live, we'll speak with the member development team about getting a slot in so people can actually understand fully what the role involves. Yeah, that's the role. That's the role that it is. There are nuances of difference, and I'll respond back to you.
Councillor Williamson.
I think just picking up on this freedom to speak up, Guardian. What say it's going to be confidential? Does that mean when an employee raises an issue with this Guardian, their name and details won't be passed on to managers or senior directors or anything, because if it's going to actually do something meaningful, I do welcome it, because I do know there's been issues of staff trying to raise issues with like electronic medication systems and stuff in care homes that have been suspended when these systems were like dispensing more medication and stuff, who got suspended for that. So if this is going to be meaningful and protects the staff, but also have a process where these issues are actually resolved, then I welcome it, but I just want clarity on those sort of aspects.
I think people who were raising concerns will be protected and it will be confidential at that stage. Obviously, you can't have a situation where someone's saying this is happening in this unit without sort of knowing which unit is happening in and those sorts of things. I think, as I said, probably the best thing is to get the presentation up for people so they actually understand the totality of it, because it is important that people have routes to go to.
Thank you, Councillor Pickersgill. That concludes the Cabinet Members' report. We're now going to have a 10-minute comfort break.
Ladies and gentlemen, Council Members, please be standing whilst the mayoral party leaves the Council chamber.
seated. We're going straight into this then.
We'll go to carry on with your
Yeah. Agenda item 9 is to seek approval for the creation of a new council tax discount for terminally ill residents. Is the report moved? Is the report seconded? Are there any questions in relation to the report? Any comments? All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? This is carried. Agenda item 10 is to ask that Council approve the adoption of the revised statement of gambling principles and approve its formal publication. Is the report moved? Is the report seconded? Are there any questions in relation to the report? Councillor Harvey?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. And just look at the agenda page 79. It said the cost of the preparation and publication of the revised statement can be contained within existing budgets. So just wondering whether is there any legal cost associated to this new statement. And the other thing I need to remind the members here is on the agenda page 80. So 8.1, it's clearly stated, Section 349 of the Gambling Act 2005 requires licensing authority, which is Wakefield Council, to consult on all those policy statements with the trade and interested parties prior to adoption. A 6-week consultation was conducted in accordance with the requirements of the Act through direct contact with the bodies listed within the draft statement of principles, as well as an online survey open to all. The consultation was held between 2nd of October and 12th of November. No responses were received. So this is alarming. So if we can turn into agenda page 111, and there is a list of consultees in Appendix A, and you can see there are 23 very important organizations within the council and the voluntary sector. There is, I assume, according to the report stated, no responses were received at all, not just from online surveys, and they was also confirmed by the young man actually here at deputation this morning, early on. So I just want to know, does this policy has passed the strength test? And if there's no response, none whatsoever you have received, should you actually wait for this to happen? Because there is a legal obligation for you to consult and then have a response. Thank you.
Councillor Wilton?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think really importantly to just note, following the deputation that we had at the beginning of Council and following Councillor Hemingway's offer to meet with those that spoke today, that will absolutely happen and will absolutely feed some of that into a wider piece of work around gambling. But just to put your mind at rest, Councillor Harvey, there is no legal cost to this, and I'll just set it out quickly. So the purpose of the report is quite straightforward, and as you've said, as the licensing authority under the Gambling Act 2005, we are required to set out the principles that we will apply when carrying out our licensing functions. The statement must be reviewed every 3 years, and our current 3-year period has concluded. A formal consultation, which has been said, has been carried out and no responses were received, but the licensing committee did consider the draft on the 3rd of December and has recommended it to its approval today, so I thank them for that. But as members will be aware, the Gambling Act sets out 3 licensing objectives that underpin every decision that's made, and that's number 1, preventing gambling from being a source of crime and disorder; number 2, ensuring that gambling is conducted in a fair and open way; and number 3, protecting children and other vulnerable people from being harmed or exploited by gambling. The revised statement ensures that these objectives continue to be firmly embedded in our approach. Only minor clarifications have been added since the last review, and no further changes are proposed at this time. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Any comments?
Yeah, we've got a taxi suitability policy. Do we have a gambling suitability policy that we can tag on to this? Because we seem to spend all our time prosecuting taxi drivers and not enough time on this. So, yeah, thank you.
Councillor Pickersgill.
We don't, Councillor, but I think it's quite a different situation.
Councillor Pickersgill.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor. Am I right in recalling that the council's powers in respect of things like betting shops are mainly about where they can be, and that we actually don't have power over who can be a gambling operator, because that's actually a licence from the Gaming Commission, and therefore we don't actually have control, or we don't have the suitability that Councillor Sharp has referred to.
Yep, Councillor Pickersgill's absolutely right.
All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. Agenda item 11 is to note the revised allocation of seats to political groups. Is the report moved?
I'll move it, Madam Mayor, for my answer.
Excuse me. Is the report seconded? Are there any questions in relation to the report? Councillor Tull.
Just one question, and I sit on a couple of 3 scrutinies in this council, and I make it my duty to attend them every time there's a scrutiny meeting unless I'm unwell and not able to attend. I'm all in favour of the revise and the rejigging of the committees because of changes in opposition. What I would ask is if we're going to go through this trouble and going to do this, that if people that are allocated seats on these relevant committees, do me a favour and turn up.
Thank you, Councillor Tully. I mean, this report here is here because we have a duty to maintain a political balance. I think in respect of everything, we would hope that people who are allocated to committees or outside bodies, etc., attend those committees and outside bodies on a regular basis. It is back to the opposition groups to nominate people onto bodies. I would hope, personally, that they think about a bit of continuity, because people turning up for moving person from one committee to another isn't great. If we can keep a bit of continuity, it would be helpful, particularly on things like scrutiny. Because your first meeting, you're never quite as up to date with everything as you are when there's a bit of continuity and you've been to previous meetings. But it is an opposition matter, really.
Any comments?
I mean, it just feels like we're having conversations here where people are alluding to stuff but not really actually saying what they're concerned about. I've got no problem with my attendance record as a councillor, and I was moved battered around from various committees by the Labour group when I was a member. So you've got my commitment that we'll be attending.
Council attendances are available on the website anyway. Councillor Sharp.
Yeah, normally I do agree with the sentiment of what Councillor Tully says, but when he's got 2 people in his own group that can't be bothered to turn up to council meetings for over 6 months, I think you've got limited room to talk. Thank you.
All in favour? Any against? Any abstentions? That is carried. The final agenda item is to deal with any motions...
Point of order, please, Madam Mayor.
What's your point of order, Councillor Farr?
It's now 5 to 5. It's blatantly clear that motions 4 and 5 aren't going to take place. Can we replace 4 and 5 with 1 and 3, please? Thank you, Madam.
No, we'll carry on as we go in, thank you. The final agenda item is to deal with any motions proposed by members. Whilst there are 5 motions on the agenda, only 4 are to be debated here today. Councillor Williamson, as motion 2 is regarding added to varying or revoking council procedure rules, please confirm that you understand that motion 2 won't be debated today in accordance with council procedure rule 31.
Yeah, is there an opportunity to say a brief thing before it gets adjourned to the next meeting? Because I remember the last one, we were given the option to do that, but we just chose not to take it.
You can only speak once on the motion, so if he speaks today, we'll be able to speak in March.
You can only speak once on the motion, and if you speak today, you won't be able to speak in March. Okay? No, it's just once.
You did give us that opportunity at the last rule change.
You can speak. Mayor, Madam.
Yeah.
Councillor Williamson, what the Mayor's explaining is that you can speak today, but then you wouldn't be able to move the motion in March. It's the debate that's adjourned, not the moving and seconding. So it's up to you.
No, I'm just saying the position exactly slightly different at the last rule change.
Well, that's the rules that we've got in the Constitution. If you want to speak today, you can do. Do you want to speak today or? Thank you.
We will first take motion 1. Councillor Metford, are you leaving the room? Thank you, Councillor Aslam. Councillor Metford, would you please move your motion to council?
It's working. They've just come on now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Many of you will remember that at the last meeting, I raised the Royal Mail Postal Service delays. At that time, I'd been contacted by 25 people in 18 hours. That was the Wednesday. By the Friday, I'd had 200 contacts. Never had that many on any subject as a councillor in that short space of time before. I became aware that other wards across the district were experiencing similar problems. Wakefield Council recognises the vital role Royal Mail continues to play in connecting families, communities and businesses, and acknowledges the immense pressure on Royal Mail postal workers, especially over the Christmas period. With the majority of the public sending or receiving a parcel via Royal Mail over the festive season, Wakefield Council thanks all our postal workers for the work they did over Christmas, the work they continue to do. Many of us appreciate our posties so much, the familiar faces across our district, and we wouldn't want to be without them. Thus said, Wakefield Council also recognises that Royal Mail has for a number of months now, and I'd go back further than that, I think for the past year, has not been able to provide or guarantee an adequate level of service to so many of our residents and businesses. It's evidenced by the number of contacts many of us are getting as councillors. Residents express concern that failures in Royal Mail service has resulted in missed hospital and other health appointments. I had the case of a cancer patient whose appointment had been cancelled, but she travelled to Leeds not realising it had been cancelled because she hadn't got the letter. It was heartbreaking to hear a story. Medication delays. A lot of my residents have their the medication delivered in the post, but it's not coming on time on a lot of occasions. We've had house purchase delays where there's been a death in the family and the papers haven't arrived in time to sell the house on time. Bank cards are one of the biggest problems. So many people in December contacted me because the bank cards hadn't arrived. They cancelled them and then they did arrive, but they arrived with a PIN number and so on. I'm sure many of you have heard of these issues. I won't read the whole list because it's in the motion, but I want to go on to say residents explain that they have not received mail for weeks at a time. An 80-year-old lady told me on Monday that she'd had 39 items of mail arrive in one day. I'd already listed a case in the motion of another person getting 39 items at once. It's ridiculous. We recognise the failures by Royal Mail are not acceptable and that the service offered to customers must improve. So what I want to do is to move on the suggestions. So I'm particularly concerned because not only are the hospital appointments, as an example, aren't getting to residents on time, but letters sent out by GP services, when I've spoken to the GP practices, they don't know how long these appointments are taking to arrive. So that explains the first call on the motion. So Wakefield Council calls for Royal Mail to provide accurate and realistic information to its service users regarding its delivery time periods, so that they can make informed decisions on whether to use the service or choose an alternative provider. For example, the Council suggests that GPs and hospitals using postal services in which Royal Mail have any involvement are made aware of this and given accurate expected dates of the delivery.
You've got 30 seconds left.
Right. So we also resolve to engage with local frontline postal workers and union representatives to better understand the challenges they're facing, to write to Royal Mail to ask for more information on how these issues will be addressed, and to write to the government to immediately engage with the EP group to ensure they uphold the full terms of the deed of undertakings agreed between the two parties. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Metford. Is the motion seconded? Thank you, Councillor Hemingway. Do you wish to formally speak now or reserve your right to speak until later in the debate? Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'm going to keep my remarks in seconding this motion very short because I'm conscious of the time and that I've already spoken a number of times this evening. This is a really important motion because we have residents, as Councillor Medford's just said, around this district who are being let down, who are missing important letters, who are missing appointments, who aren't getting birthday cards, and it's having an impact in my community. I'm sure it's having an impact in wards across this district. I've had many horror stories, I'm not going to go into them, but of people in those situations sometimes not getting letters for a month. I've written to Royal Mail, I know colleagues have. The response has been underwhelming. Christmas pressures were blamed. We were told plans are in place to fix it, but without any specifics. And I think for me, that's what this motion is about. As local representatives, we need confidence and information that this is going to be put right, how it's going to be put right. Furthermore, we need to write to the government to make them aware of this, to make sure they're enforcing the obligations of EP Group, as Councillor Medford has alluded to. But also, the third aspect of our motion is about engaging with the Royal Mail workforce, because I think we should all be clear in this chamber that our local posties do a fantastic job. This is in no way a criticism of them. They are not to blame. It's about the management and the processes, and we need to make sure that's right, and also hear from the workers firsthand on what they think the problems are, and if we can do anything to put them right. And I know Councillor Haslam, if he was here, would probably highlight the work his union have been doing and other colleagues have been doing. It's also about making sure that other carriers, not just Royal Mail, that are using the universal postal network, be it Amazon, some of the big delivery companies, that they are brought into sector-wide bargaining so that it's not a race to the bottom and that Royal Mail isn't outcompeted by them in that sense. So I think there's lots of good things to support in this motion. It's an important resolution, and what I would suggest and offer to colleagues around the chamber is that the controlling group are prepared to move progress on our motions to make sure that every motion can be presented to Council. I'll second it there, Madam Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hemingway. Does any member wish to speak on the motion? May I remind members that speeches must be directed to the motion under discussion or to a personal explanation or point of order. Councillor Williams.
Thank you. I agree with everything that's been said, and it's been, residents in my ward have been having trouble with getting the post on time for years now, for pretty much the entire length of my current term. But I think we need to obviously acknowledge that the reason why we're in this position largely is due to privatisation of Royal Mail. You know, it's changed hands in terms of private ownership, and they're basically wanting to reform it. Instead of guaranteeing 6 days, you know, of letter deliveries and things like that, they're wanting to turn it into some sort of like DPD where they focus just on parcels, because that's where the money is. And I think while these efforts, you know, I support these efforts, while ever it's privatised, we're going to have these problems. And they're also trying to undermine the sort of pay agreements of Royal Mail staff and things like that. So I'm just wondering if the mover and the seconder, if the Mayor agrees, they'll be willing to slightly alter the motion, which you can do now, and just put in a provision, like if Royal Mail fail to improve, you know, the service or anything, then we call on the government to consider renationalising it or something like that. Thank you.
Councillor Roberts.
Yeah, it might just be a point of clarification which the mover and seconder might be able to correct me on, but I do note that in the motion it does make comment about parcel couriers like Amazon and Everett contributing towards the network itself and putting some cost towards that, why that's not in the motion, and maybe if that could be added as part of the letters sent to government or whatever. So yeah, just that point.
Councillor Ahmed.
Just a few points here, but is the motion changing? Or what we're doing? Are we amending the motion? Is that what we've just agreed to? So if it is, then obviously we need the wording added on item 4 on there that says what the wording is and what the agreed wording is. You put a time limit on yourself, so we're down 55 minutes, right? Okay, so to 6 o'clock. I do actually agree with you on the motion. I think you're right, and I think the consequences of the delays in Royal Mail are not small consequences. They're quite significant, especially with hospital appointments where sometimes a person's removed off the list for not turning up, especially when they've accepted. And, you know, the problem you've got is the privatisation argument falls apart. And I probably normally would agree with you on here when Amazon will deliver a product the next day, or sometimes in the same day. That's the only problem you have in there, is the argument about, and I normally would agree with you that in-house services are better, and etc. on there. But I do, you know, in terms of time saving for future reference, I think because you brought the motion to the council, I'm not against bringing motions to the council, but some of these things could have been done without a motion. So I'm hoping the reason we've brought it to the council chamber is because we're raising the awareness of the issue, and we're hoping that the media, etc., cover it, and that's the reason behind it. Because 1 to 3 is within the controlling group's control to do. So writing a letter or engaging with them, all the things that can be done. I totally support the motion. I'm just saying you want a time limit and we want to move things forward. So trying to be productive there, I'm just suggesting that some of these things could have been done without the motion. So I'm assuming the purpose of the motion is to raise awareness of the issue and publicise it. I hope that's the issue.
Councillor Keith.
Yeah, I think what we've said is that the price of a first-class stamp is horrendous. So you're paying a first-class stamp for a fourth-class postal service when it comes down to the delivery bit of it. This isn't just down to what's happened over the last few months and years. This is a process of privatisation and using other companies who intervene here, the third-party companies, who take on that responsibility of delivering that letter, take all the profit out of it, and then pass it on to the post office to deliver the letter, to do the actual work. And so the profit is being taken out of it. And what we must ensure is that we don't go down the route of certain other companies who pay as little as 45 pence to make a delivery of a parcel to somebody's house. Thank you, Chair.
Councillor Metford, you have the right to reply if you wish.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Happy to take on Jake's selection, privatisation suggestion. I would need to know more before, looking at Martin's personally. Thank you to everyone who supported this motion. The reason that I wanted to bring this motion to Council was because of the sheer numbers of our residents across Wakefield who have raised this with us as councillors. I think it's really important that they see that we are taking their concerns seriously, and more importantly that we are taking action. I've already written to Royal Mail. I know other councillors have. I know that Councillor Jeffrey agreed that the council could write to Royal Mail. I didn't feel that was enough. I felt that we needed to cement this and show all council approval that we are behind the residents, and we recognise that Royal Mail, the delivery services are not good enough at the moment. It is the numbers, it is to raise awareness, and it's to show all our residents that we care. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Metford. Do you wish to speak, Gillian, on this now?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. So just to clarify, it's not an amendment because that would have had to be brought earlier. It's a request to alter, which has been agreed by the mover, the seconder and confirmed by the Mayor. The alteration, if members turn to page 3 of the agenda and you look under the heading Wakefield Council resolves to, under point 3, to add at the end of that, and in the absence of any improvement in performance, we call on the government to consider renationalisation. That is my understanding of what's been suggested and agreed. So if you vote in favour of the motion, it will be with that extra bit on the end of 3. I'll read it again. And in the absence of any improvement in performance, we call on government to consider renationalisation. Is everybody clear what you're voting on? Yeah. Yep.
Thank you, Gillian. Please show all those in favour of the motion. Please show all those against the motion. Any abstentions? This is carried. Thank you. Can we ask Councillor Aslam to come back in, please? We will now take motion 3. Councillor Salim, would you please move your motion to the Council?
Madam Mayor and colleagues, I speak today as someone who spends real time in our communities, supporting baby toddler groups, helping in our youth clubs, volunteering at local food banks, and across all these spaces, families tell me the same thing. They're doing everything they can, yet they still feel the pressures of rising costs. And this includes in my previous role in the NHS, where parents have shared the same concerns in confidence and about the rising cost of infant formula. And these conversations stay private, but the fear behind them is very real. And for me, this isn't just professional, it's personal. I want the best start in life for my niece and nephew, and that also means wanting the best start in life for every child. Tackling poverty and inequality is why I came into politics, and when we are talking about something as feeding a baby, this motion is the least we can do. The evidence is clear. Wakefield has a higher than average level of deprivation. Food and baby banks are reporting a significant rise in demand for infant formula, and the CMA authority has shown that infant formula prices have risen faster than inflation. And despite all this, All the infant formulas meeting the same strict nutritional standards, higher prices do not mean higher nutritional value. And national experts and neonatal experts have also raised concerns about affordability and challenges faced by families. And we know that some children can simply not tolerate standard formula. And I want to acknowledge and welcome the action taken nationally by the government and the response to the CMA findings and the commitment to improve information for parents and exploring further measures to help families. And any steps that are taken to support parents are positive steps, and this council welcomes the opportunity to contribute constructively to that. And locally, Wakefield Council is already doing a great deal. The infant feeding steering group has delivered real improvements, and we have also been, as Margaret mentioned earlier, shortlisted for awards. But engagement with food and baby banks show the scale and risk families face when they cannot access safe, consistent support. This is why we must make infant food insecurity pathway a reality, and this is exactly what this motion does. Clear, safe, evidence-based routes for families and those who need them. This motion strengthens national partnership working, improves local information and ensures accountability through two scrutiny committees, the Adult Health and the Children and Young People's. I want to also thank the fantastic team within Children's Services, because it's through them that we can make motions like this impactful and meaningful. And I just want to add, I hope by raising this concern, it will contribute to the government considering more extensive measures, including stronger regulation of pricing and even exploring options such as a price cap to ensure infant formula remains affordable for all families. I'm proud to bring this motion forward, and I hope colleagues across the chamber will support it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Salim. Is this motion seconded?
Very proud to second the motion, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Do you wish to formally speak now or reserve your right to speak until later in the debate?
I'll speak later, thank you.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak on the motion? May I remind members that speeches must be directed to the motion under discussion or to a personal explanation or point of order. Councillor Gert.
Yeah, I just want to speak very briefly. As you know, I manage the Nottingham Food Bank, and as food banks mentioned in this, I just wanted to point out that our food bank and many other food banks, we shy away from having formula in, and the reason we shy away from having it in stock is babies can be allergic to different formulas, and we don't have the space or the capacity to carry a large amount of stock, and we'd rather say to a parent, no, you need to go to a specialist food bank like Airedale Baby Bank, for example, or find it somewhere else, rather than them, because they're in desperate need, taking what we've got in stock and then their baby having a reaction. So I think I just needed to highlight that you know, a lot of food banks, for that reason, just will not carry baby formula because of the risks. So it is important, this, and parents should be able to access. You know, it should be basic, shouldn't it? So I just wanted to make that point.
Councillor Shah.
Yeah, this is a really good motion, Shaban. I just wanted to get some clarity, really, because we've had Councillor Ahmed and Councillor Williamson raise motions referring stuff to scrutiny, and it's been absolutely amended, shot down, red line, butchered. But when a member of their party wants to refer stuff to scrutiny, it's not edited or bombastically changed in any way. I just want to know what the difference is when we want to refer stuff to scrutiny and when they want to refer. Is there something fundamentally that I'm missing that I'm not getting? Thanks.
Councillor Harvey.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Again, thank you very much for bringing this motion to Council. And in this page 9, you said the Council believes in every baby and toddler in Wakefield deserve access to safe, appropriate and affordable nutrition. So I just wonder if you anticipate Council's grant to support this scheme, so will that be mean tested and how this, the cost will be covered? Thank you.
Is there anybody else? No. Councillor Fraser, you reserve your right to speak until later in the debate. Would you like to speak now?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Madam Mayor, I'm very pleased to second this motion brought by Councillor Saleem. When considering this motion, there's particularly strong evidence from UNICEF, the NHS and the Competition and Markets Authority. All of them tell us the same thing. The cost of infant formula is rising faster than inflation. Marketing practices are confusing and misleading, and families in deprived communities are being hit the hardest. What is particularly worrying is practice at our local baby banks are seeing, families watering down formula, relying on inappropriate donations, or avoiding formal help altogether due to fear or stigma. Madam Mayor, I think this should concern all of us. Wakefield should be proud, and is proud, of the work already underway through our infant feeding steering groups mentioned by Councillor Saleem, our family hubs, health visitors and voluntary sector partners. This motion doesn't criticise that work already carried out, but it adds to it, Madam Mayor. Importantly, the motion sits well alongside the positive work happening now nationally. The Labour government has established the Child Poverty Task Force, and that has been clear that tackling poverty in early years is essential to improving long-term health benefits and life chances. This motion allows Wakefield to contribute constructively to the national conversation by sharing local evidence and lived experience. It asks us to do exactly what UNICEF advises, to lead, to coordinate, and to ensure that families with babies under 12 months are not falling through the cracks. By writing to government, strengthening local pathways, and referring this work to scrutiny, we are doing what a responsible council should advocate for our residents, using evidence and working collaboratively with national partners. The motion aligns with national public health guidance, UNICEF recommendations, and the Labour government's stated ambition to reduce child poverty and health inequality. I'm glad Councillor Saleem has brought this to Council. I urge other councillors. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Councillor Saleem, you have the right to reply if you wish. In exercising your right of reply, may I remind you that no new matter can be introduced.
Yes, I just want to say, obviously, what this motion does is actually improve existing information for residents across the district. And not only that, it also allows, as the motion states, by the end of the year, a report to go to scrutiny to actually see what can be improved as well. So it's not the end all here. It can actually progress further for further improvements, because there's always room for improvement.
Thank you. Please show all those in favour of the motion. All those against? Any abstentions? That is carried. We will now take motion 4. An alteration to motion 4, and I think you all received copies. Councillor Bates, could you please move your motion to Council?
Yeah, thank you, Madam Mayor. Before I get to the motion, I've deliberately refrained from speaking today, following what the Deputy Leader's report, that they're going to invoke the guillotine or not support suspending it. I think that's grossly unfair and shuts down debate, but I was more concerned about getting this motion to Council. And it is actually Councillor Roberts' motion, but because he's got a pecuniary interest in that he works in the care industry, he can't speak. So I have no reservations about doing it for him. So I'm going to speak about how it affected me, because I think, as most of you know, my wife died in July of last year. Following that, I stood in this chamber and thanked the care workers and praised them for the work that they do. And I don't think people really understand what's actually involved in what they do. I think they're grossly undervalued, underpaid, and overworked. And the girls that used to come to my house and look after my wife, I think people don't realise how involved they got emotionally, physically. You know, it's not just a case of coming and helping my wife with her ablutions or making her a cup of tea. They become friends, they become part of the family, they become part of the daily routine. She looked forward to seeing them. You know, and these people, from £9 upwards per hour, I think it's, you know, they are as important as any other in the care industry. Doctors, nurses, you know, that it's essential work. They save the public purse money because people can come home, like in my wife's case, she could come home from hospital. Otherwise, she would have faced being in a care home and not being at home where she's, you know, sorry. I didn't expect that, but anyway, carry on. I'm speaking about these people and how valuable they are to us and how undervalued they are. So, and I think the motion's pretty clear, so I won't speak, I'll be brief because of the time, but it also asks to write to all 4 MPs. I think there's only one who will take any interest in it, but I just urge everyone to vote for this. It's, you know, let's care for the people that care for us. I move.
Thank you, Councillor Bates. Is this motion seconded? Thank you, Councillor Gert. Do you wish to formally speak now or reserve your right to speak until later in the debate?
Speak now, Madam Mayor.
Thank you.
Come as a bit of a shock to you, I've got a speech. It'll also come as no shock to you, I hadn't written it. Okay, so I support this motion in the main part because if we create good conditions and pay for care workers, they will do the vital job of looking after some of the most vulnerable people in our district and society. One thing that is often part of any care plan is the person-centred care. This is vital for providing care to someone in their own home and creates dignity, respect, and promotes independence and allows service users to have the best life possible. Having spoken to a few care workers, and indeed our colleague, Councillor Roberts, person-centred care is at risk when care workers are overworked, underpaid and demoralised. When this happens, mediocre care is given or poor care, calls are rushed, dignity, respect and independence are gone. And the very thing we all support, which is a good care sector that runs in partnership with the NHS, falls apart. Therefore, this motion calls for care workers, especially those delivering care in people's homes, is needed for the service users. Some of the struggles care workers and care sector face: insufficient call time, which means things are rushed; insufficient travel time, meaning calls are late, rushed and working time is extended; lack of time between finish and start times, causing lack of sleep, putting service users and care workers at risk; lack of breaks, meaning care workers not eating, drinking or having appropriate rest; responsibilities high, yet taking on board the other points, meaning that things will be missed; long hours, working 15 hours only to get paid for 8; lack of oversight. Things might be in place and being paid for by the council, but this is not reaching the care workers and service users, resulting in inefficient care sector in our district. I could go on, but hopefully the struggles faced by care workers, which is having an effect on service users, will be addressed today. And I hope I've got a bit of time left to just put my own two-penneth in. When I spoke to Councillor Roberts and learned about it, I was a bit stunned to find out that the time it takes to get from one case to another isn't paid for. If they're car sharing and they're having to drop another care worker off at their property and then drive to wherever they're going, it's not paid for. Seriously? I was stunned. You know, in what other job would you start work and for huge chunks of your day not get paid? It's amazing, isn't it? My gast is well and truly flabbered. So I hope you'll support this motion, because I think it's important, regardless of where it's been written, who's brought it forward and for what reason. We've made no secret about that. It is an important motion, and we need to look after the people who are caring for our residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Gert. Does any member wish to speak on the motion? May I remind members that speeches must be directed to the motion under discussion or to a personal explanation or point of order. Councillor Collins.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that we will be supporting this motion, including the alterations in the motion as well. I want us to be very clear on what that support is looking like, though, because what I don't want to do is have an expectation that by the next council meeting we will have done all the things in here, but it is a commitment that we will do these. I could get into some of the really technical points about how we work out the formulas, but that's not the spirit of this motion, and it is that actually we are paying for a service, people are paying for a service, and they need looking after, and the people that do one of the most challenging jobs in the world also need paying properly for that. The council do pay that, and it is on us to make sure that that is getting passed on and the providers are paying the right wages to the right people, and that the carers aren't out of pocket for looking after people, because ultimately when people aren't looked after it costs us more in the long run. So we're happy to support this motion. I mean, much of what is in here as part of the new pseudo-dynamic purchasing system, in terms of the looking at the postcodes, looking at the areas, it is all part of that work in the commissioning anyway. We're happy to support the motion.
Councillor Williamson.
Thank you. Yeah, we're not going to be coming to the next meeting and saying, you know, that's on that particular motion on the Dolly Parton Imagination Library. That's because we did put like a bit of a time scale in there. So it's the only reason on that. I suppose in terms of this motion, we had a bit of a journey with it, because obviously Councillor Roberts works as a home carer and he doesn't get paid any travel time or allowances or anything. So we were of the view that the council didn't pay that, but obviously the back and forth in the run up to the submission, the service director did get in touch and say, we went through the amounts and stuff and say we do actually pay it. So there's obviously a problem on the employer's side. So, and I know that some of this, the service director did explain some of this, you know, work is already going on. I mean, in terms of the postcode lottery, we just wanted that to be cemented as policy of this chamber, as the position of this chamber. But the bits, obviously, we wanted to strengthen and wanted to ensure some work went on was around how the council, whether it has to amend its policies and procedures and stuff, can actually enforce the payment and the passing on of these payments to employers, which is something I don't think was necessarily in the scope of the service as such. And to be honest, as long as the process is done in good faith and things like that, you know, we're happy to collaborate with other groups as long as it, you know, the work is actually getting done. That's just a bit from my point. Thank you.
Thank you. I think you'll all agree with me that time is moving on now, and I think we're all very, very supportive of this motion, and I think we're all on, you know, we're singing off the same hymn sheet. So, if you're all in favour, I would like to ask Councillor Bates if he wants the right to reply. And then we'll move to the vote, if that's all right with everybody.
Just thank you, Madam Mayor. Just very quickly, I'm sorry about my...
Is it a point of order, Councillor Tully? Yeah, but we've got quite a few... That's my decision, Councillor Tully, thank you. Councillor Bates, please carry on.
Yeah, well, I'd like to thank Councillor Williams for saying what I couldn't say. So, yeah, I'm just grateful to everyone. Just thanks everyone, and let's move to a vote. Thank you.
Right, we're going to now go to the vote. Please show all in favour of this motion. Anyone against? Any abstentions? That motion is carried. Thank you. Can you tell Councillor Roberts he can come back in, or is he here? We will now take motion 5. Councillor Speak, would you please move your motion to the council?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This motion is about something very simple: safety, dignity and peace of mind for thousands of our most vulnerable residents. CareLink is not a luxury, it's a lifeline. For many elderly and disabled people across our district, it is the difference between living independently and living in fear. It means that if they fall or become unwell or need urgent help, someone is there at the push of a button. We know that around 1,500 residents receive this service because the council has assessed that they need it, and we are rightly working to ensure those people continue to be protected. But this motion also highlights the serious risk faced by many others who rely on the CareLink without having formally assessed care needs. I have read the letter that was issued today, and I must be honest, what is written in the letter is not what is happening on the ground. Today I have personally checked in with my entire caseload of residents that are on the private part. Not one single person has been offered any alternative support as yet, any reassurance or any clear steps beyond that original letter. For vulnerable residents and anxious families, a letter alone is not support, it is uncertainty. If this service is withdrawn before a safe and reliable alternative is properly in place, people will be left isolated, families will be left anxious, and pressure on emergency and health services will inevitably increase. This motion is measured, responsible and reasonable. It simply calls on Vico Homes to just pause the withdrawal and work with the council to ensure continuity of service until an alternative is genuinely available. This is about putting people before process and safety before savings, and I urge members to support this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Speak. Is the motion seconded? Thank you, Councillor Reyes. Do you wish to formally speak now or reserve your right to speak until later in the debate? Okay, thank you.
Yep, I'm pleased to second this motion. CareLink is a lifeline for many residents, providing reassurance, independence and safety for people who otherwise may be left isolated. Withdrawing it before a safe alternative is in place risks real harm and added pressure to family and emergency services. This motion simply asks for caution, cooperation and continuity while the solutions are found. I urge members to support it.
Thank you. Does any member wish to speak on the motion? May I remind members that speeches must be directed to the motion under discussion or to a personal explanation or point of order. Councillor Mel Jones.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'm speaking in support of this motion, and I'd like to thank Councillor Speak for bringing it forward. I want to bring this motion to life by sharing the experience of one of my residents who's given me permission for this to raise his case, is a VICO home tenant with disabilities and relies on CareLink for safety and independence. He received a 4-week notice on the 23rd of December, which, because of the Christmas closure, effectively halved the time available for him to respond or seek support. He then only received a text message on the 13th of January stating his CareLink would be cut off, which he sent me. There was no phone call, no discussion. His service was disconnected on the 19th of January with no follow-up from VICO Homes. Faced with the sudden loss of his emergency support, he was forced to arrange a private alarm system at a cost of £140 up front and £30 a month, a significant financial burden he cannot afford. Beyond the cost, the impact has been profound. He is anxious, unable to sleep, and feels his independence has been eroded. He feels abandoned by a system he trusted to keep safe. I want to thank Councillor Collins because she is assisting me with this. When I raised concerns directly with VICO Homes, I was refused sight of the equality impact assessment, the risk assessment, and no evidence was provided of safeguarding checks or mitigation. So I do support this, and one thing, when we've been provided this from VICO Homes, it says we have a clear communications plan in place and vulnerable customers will be provided with a telephone support. That hasn't happened to my resident, so I support this fully, and thank you.
Councillor Swift.
Yes, like previous speakers, our experience on the ground differs from what VICO Homes are saying. The letter that VICO Homes had for us to look at the beginning of this meeting, for instance, and the statement in there, self-funding customers, that's anybody who's not being funded via the council, self-funding customers will continue to receive their service until the end of March 2026. Now, leaving aside the fact that that in itself seems quite unreasonable, and there really isn't any justification at all for the self-funding people to be cut off ahead of the main termination of VICO service in September. The fact is that, as Mel said, that they're already going ahead with it. People are being given notice of termination that's certainly earlier than the end of March. People are being told that they will receive further phone calls telling them when people will come to actually take back the equipment. And these are certainly not waiting until the end of March. These things are moving ahead, you know, as we speak.
Councillor Roberts.
Totally in support of this motion. Being a care worker myself, I'll just give a slightly different perspective on it. I know that being a care worker myself, when you've gone into someone's home and they're already on the floor, the equipment that the people that have at CareLink to get people up off the floor, basically, if that's not there, that's putting that risk further on to care workers already. So I support everything that's been said so far, and just to give that perspective as well. Thank you.
Councillor Tully.
Why am I surprised? Why am I surprised? Because from the day this council handed over, not by choice, 30-odd thousand properties to this organisation, who we'll call WH at time, I don't think there's ever been any. There's always been an hidden agenda, in actual fact, to drift away from this council, to the last extent, where they even changed the name and took Wakefield out, to be quite honest with you. I don't know about you, but I've had many responses from residents, and people have talked about individual cases. Well, why? What you've been in touch with your council for? What you've been in touch with MP for? What they're going to do about it? We're not interested in talking to them. And that's the attitude they've got. And I sat in a meeting not many weeks since where they were all sat in a row in a scrutiny committee with the smug faces and the little green tops on and the black jumpers all making it out as though they were some sort of best thing since sliced bread. They've no interest. They're only interested in expanding, and don't give a really care about the most vulnerable people. And we've touched across quite a few resolutions today, and this is just another further step where VICO Homes have used as an excuse or a reason to pull out of this service, and I find it abominable that we should even be entertaining them any further. We have dialogue with them through house building and one thing or another. I don't think they give two hoots about this council. I don't think they've done it for a long time, and they've used this as a final excuse once to change the name from where they are to gone where they've gone, and with total disregard to some of our most vulnerable people that live in our properties. And going forward, I'm not convinced going forward they're even interested in whether they care for our elderly people in properties and in bungalows and in properties that they provide, whether they'll be wet rooms or with extra disabled facilities. I don't think they've got any interest at all in doing that, and it doesn't surprise me in the least with the decision that they've made today to pull out of this scheme. I'm not surprised at all, but I'm full supporting the motion.
Councillor Farmer, and you're the last one. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. I'm going to support the motion as well. I'm not sure what the breakdown is, but there's obviously been a massive breakdown between the council and Vico Homes. It's pretty clear. Just the quick one I'm going to say is the most important part of this motion to me is, number one, to call on Vico Homes to pause the withdrawal. To me, that's the most important thing. Pause the withdrawal, sort out your differences, and then the most vulnerable people in our society are not being penalised. But there's obviously been issues on both sides. I don't know the ins and outs of it all, but to me, we should respectfully request they pause the delay, because it's causing a lot of issues for a lot of residents in all our areas. So obviously I'm going to support the motion, and I'll leave it at that. Thank you.
Councillor Speak, you have the right to reply if you wish. In exercising your right of reply, may I remind you that no new matter can be introduced.
Yeah, thank you for all supporting this motion. I think Nick just hit it on the head there. We just need a pause. We need to sort it out. We need it to be about residents. We need it to be about the most vulnerable people that we are here to support. And I do hope that this generates that pause, and they get the support that they all need, not just certain, not the divide, as we'll call it.
Thank you. Please show all those in favour of the motion. All those against? Any abstentions? That is carried. And that, colleagues, was the last item. Don't stand up yet, I haven't finished. Not you, Dave. And that, colleagues, was the last item on the agenda. Can I thank you all for taking part in the debates today, and we've managed to get as business done in the correct manner. So I thank you all for your attendance, and I forgot at the start of the meeting to wish you all a very happy new year. I now declare the council meeting closed.
Ladies and gentlemen, council members, please be upstanding whilst the mayoral party leaves the council chamber.